Chapter 14-17. Yutian bro, don't worry, I'll go find House Sun. I heard that Sun Jingyi is in Songshan. I'll try with her. Lingshan had made up her mind. No matter what, she had to convince Sun Jingyi to heal Yutian. Okay, but don't force yourself if it doesn't work, Yutian said. Lingshan, I want to rest for a while. Alright? I'll be heading out first then. Lingshan nodded, not wanting to disturb Yutian anymore, and turned to leave. Yutian, on the other hand, took out his phone and called his grandpa after Lingshan left. Qian, why are you calling grandpa again? Did you break through again? Old Master Chen couldn't help but be happy these few days. It was really like the saying, he would smile even in his dreams. Yutian broke through to the early phase of mystic class, and House Chen had hope. They didn't need that ancient sex marriage to maintain their position anymore. And so, Grandpa Chen joked with Yutian. Naturally, he knew that Yutian wouldn't be able to break through again in such a short period of time, but joking wasn't a big deal. Hearing his grandpa's words, Yutian's heart ached and he almost cried out loud. He didn't know what to say, and he didn't want to ruin his grandpa's good mood. His grandpa's mind was probably filled with the beautiful future of House Chen. Grandpa Chen paused when he didn't hear anything from Yutian. Yutian, what's wrong? Grandpa, Yutian's words were stuck in his throat like a fishbone and he couldn't speak. Qian, what's wrong? Don't scare Grandpa. Grandpa Chen sensed that something was wrong with Yutian's tone and quickly asked. Grandpa, I lost my strength. I'm injured and my meridians are broken. Yutian gritted his teeth and said in one breath, I'm lying in the hospital now and both my legs are broken. What? Hearing Yutian's words, Grandpa Chen jumped up from his chair in shock. He almost threw the phone in his hand. However, after he stood up, he felt dizzy as if he had been struck by lightning. He couldn't even stand straight and fell back onto the chair. Yutian, what did you say? You were injured? Who hurt you? How could he be so vicious? Grandpa Chen was someone who had been through a lot. Although he was shocked, he wasn't at a loss. He had to figure out the whole story. Grandpa, calm down. Yutian sighed. It's like this. Yutian told Old Chen everything, not hiding anything. Old Chen knew about his feelings for Lingshan, so it wasn't strange for him to do something like this. You're saying that you did this for Lingshan and Lin Yi, right? Old Chen sighed after hearing Yutian's words. Logically speaking, what you did was right. A man should do what he shouldn't, and Lin Yi helped you improve your strength. Helping him out is what you should do, but you should know that you should do what you can. You were too impulsive. Elder Chen didn't blame Chen Yutian too much after knowing the whole story. After all, there was nothing wrong with what he did. However, the consequences of his actions were too huge. Chen Yutian was originally House Chen's hope, but now his hope was completely destroyed and he even started a feud with House Yu. With Old Chen's wisdom, it wasn't hard to guess Shuixing's reaction. Shuixing would probably bite back at him. Old Chen knew about Lingshan and Yu Feng's engagement as well. He'd called Yutian back then, but Yutian had already given up, so he didn't ask much. What he didn't know was that there was more to it than meets the eye. Lingshan liked Lin Yi. Lin Yi's name wasn't unfamiliar to Old Chen. When Lin Yi first entered House Chu's villa and became Miss Chu's bodyguard, Old Chen knew about Lin Yi's existence. But Lin Yi wasn't enough to enter Old Chen's eyes, so he didn't pay much attention to a bodyguard like Lin Yi until Lin Yi became more and more conspicuous. He attacked House Yu, House Zhao, and even offended the Shao family, the Golden Clock sect, and the Hidden House Pai. It could be said that he'd offended all the powers he could afford to offend, and Elder Chen's scalp was going numb just by looking at it. Offending just one of them would be enough to get him into trouble, let alone all of them. But not only did Lin Yi not get into trouble, he was living a better life than anyone else, better than anyone else, better than any of them. Old Man Chen was puzzled. How could this person be fine after offending so many forces? It didn't make sense. On the other hand, the forces that Lin Yi offended all quieted down and disappeared. Until recently, 2 masters from the Hidden House Pai died, and the Earth class of the Golden Clock sect was killed by Lin Yi's follower. Old Chen was shocked. So Lin Yi was this strong. He was just a small bodyguard, someone like a follower. Old Chen didn't put him in his eyes, but he realized that he was blind. He didn't expect Ping Zhan to be able to invite such a strong person. It was unbelievable. Although Yutian didn't say how Lin Yi increased his strength, no matter how he did it, this ability was even more shocking. While Old Chen was shocked, he started guessing Lin Yi's background. Could this Lin Yi be from an ancient sect? But even if it was an ancient sect, he had never heard of anyone who could increase someone's strength so quickly. Lin Yi was only a mystic mid-phase peak, but he could turn someone into an early-phase mystic class and two at once. This was shocking. However, it had nothing to do with old Qin. No matter how strong Lin Yi was, he wasn't a part of House Qin. He only cared about Yu Tian and House Chen's future. Grandpa, I'm sorry. Yu Tian knew his grandpa's pain. Wasn't he in pain as well? But what had happened couldn't be changed. Chapter 14:18. Grandpa. There's something I don't know if I should say. Qin Yu Tian said after a moment of silence. House Qin was on the brink of life and death. There were some words that Qin Yu Tian had to say. Otherwise House Qin would be finished. What is it? Yu Tian, what else can't you say? Grandpa Qin sighed. It's not impossible for House Qin to grow and advance further. Qin Yu Tian said, the key is if we dare to take the gamble. What hope? Grandpa Qin heard Qin Yu Tian's words as if he had found a life-saving straw. He was energized and asked quickly. Let Shu marry Lin Yi. Qin Yu Tian said, I can see that Shu likes Lin Yi and Lin Yi treats Shu well, at least better than. Although it's a bit unfair to Lingshan, she doesn't care how many girlfriends Lin Yi has. She's from a noble house, so it shouldn't be a problem. What? Grandpa Qin froze. Let Shu marry Lin Yi? That can't be done. Why? Qin Yu Tian froze and said hurriedly, with Lin Yi joining our house, we can stand firm in the noble house meeting. Even House Yu can't do anything to us. Besides, Lin Yi can give Shu and even you to the early phase of mystic class. This way House Qin can stand firm and there's no difference between having a cripple like me or not. Yu Tian, you should know about Shu's engagement, right? Old man Qin sighed. I know that your idea is a good one, but how would our Qin family dare to break our agreement with an ancient sect? I know a little about it, but it's been so long, so many years, and there's no news. Is the engagement still valid? Qin Yu Tian didn't expect his grandpa to be so resolute. If that ancient sect really wants to marry Shu, it can't be that there's no news about it after so many years, right? Besides, Shu is already 18 years old and no one has come to propose. It's most likely impossible. Who knows? The ancient sect's way of doing things isn't something normal houses like us can guess. Although there's no news for so many years, I'm afraid that if we break the engagement and marry Shu to someone else, we won't be able to handle the wrath of the ancient sect. If they really come for revenge, wouldn't we be harming Shu? Grandpa Qin smiled bitterly. It's not that we can't do it, we just don't dare to. Qin Yu Tian was silent after listening to his grandpa's words. He didn't expect the ancient sect's marriage contract to be so restrictive. It was like a curse, he couldn't get rid of it no matter what. We can't contact them? Qin Yu Tian asked. I can't contact them. Back then they only left behind the marriage contract and left. All these years they haven't come back again. Grandpa Qin said helplessly. What you said really can't be done. We can't take the risk. But Shu. Qin Yu Tian thought of Shu and felt pity. Shu might not like this engagement. There are some things that we can't decide. Grandpa Qin said. All right. Grandpa, I'm sorry for the trouble I caused you. Yu Tian could only say that. That's all. It's nothing. Rest well, let Grandpa think about it. Think about the future of House Qin after this meeting. Grandpa Qin didn't have the heart to scold Yu Tian anymore, so he comforted him. Okay, Grandpa. Qin Yu Tian was sleepy and wanted to sleep. After sleeping he would forget all his troubles. After Yu Feng returned to House Yu, the invitations were sent from House Yu to the other 8 noble houses. These 8 noble houses were House Song, House Qin, House Sun, House Wu, House Lu, Shao family, House An and House Yang. One of the purposes of this meeting was to resolve the conflicts between the noble houses, and the other was to rearrange the ranking of the 4 great houses and 5 small houses. Of course, there was a possibility that some house would be kicked out because they were too weak, and there was also a possibility that a stronger house would be supported and become one of the new noble houses. The noble houses that received the invitations were happy and some were sad. Old Song was a little worried because of the marriage between Lingshan and Yu Feng, but he wasn't too worried. After all, House Song still had a mystic late-phase peak who was roaming the outside world. It was true that there was no news, but no one dared to underestimate House Song until there was news of her death. Plus, Lingshan had reached mystic early phase. Even without the marriage with House Yu, they wouldn't be kicked out of the noble house list. House Sun, House Yang and House An on the other hand were very calm. These noble houses didn't want to stand out, but they wouldn't be kicked out of the noble house either. It was the same every meeting, there was no suspense. As for the Shao family, their worries disappeared after getting the support of the hidden house Pai. Among the noble houses, the one with the most confidence was the Shao family. Even if 2 House Pai masters died, House Pai would send their own masters over. To the Shao family there was no loss at all. House Lu seemed to have realized the danger of this meeting as well. In the study of the head of House Lu, Lu Zhenhu, stood the 2 brothers Lu Tianyi and Lu Tianli. Behind Lu Zhenhu stood the little brain of House Lu, Lu Jinghan. The noble house meeting is about to start, what do you guys think? Lu Zhenhu put the invitation on the table and raised his head. Our House Lu, do we have any hope of staying in the noble house meeting? I heard that House Yu wants to make House Kong the new noble house. From the looks of it, House Lu isn't in any danger. We've already become the exclusive distributor of the injury medicine and the painkiller that's about to hit the market. The resources and channels we have aren't something House Kong can compare to. House Lu shouldn't have any problems. Lu Tianyi said. Zhenhu nodded. Tianli, what do you think? Chapter 14-19. As the saying goes, good news doesn't go out but bad news travels 1,000 miles. House Chen's Qin Yutian tried to steal House Yu's woman and got beaten up by Yu Feng. This news spread like wildfire. And now everyone knew that Qin Yutian seduced Yu's fiancée and got beaten up. Hence, Qin Yutian was the weak one, but no one sympathized with him. They felt that he deserved it. This was House Yu's way of doing things. They pushed all the responsibility away and made it seem like Qin Yutian was the one who deserved it. House Wu, on the other hand, was one of the weakest of the noble houses. All of them were physical practitioners, and the strongest one was only mystic mid-phase, and he had just broken through not too long ago. Especially recently, they heard that Wu Qintian had offended the Shao family's brothers. This time, as the rising star of the noble house, the Shao family would definitely accuse House Wu. Jing, what do you think? Zhenhu didn't comment on Lu Tianyi and Lu Tianli's words, but looked at Lu Jinghan. Grandpa, I think that this time House Lu is in the most danger. Lu Jinghan said after a moment of silence. Most danger. Lu Tianli and even Lu Tianyi froze, not expecting Lu Jinghan to say that. Why would you say that? Tell me the reason. Zhenhu nodded but didn't make any comments. His expression was as calm as ever, without a single ripple of emotion. When it came to House Lu, Zhenhu was quite the character. He was a wise old man, always able to grasp the crux of a problem and find a way to solve it. No wonder House Lu was so happy when Zhenhu found out that he had 10 more years to live. Otherwise, the 2 brothers Lu Tianyi and Lu Tianli wouldn't be able to support the whole House Lu. Lu Tianyi was calm and had a broad vision, but he wasn't smart enough. Tianli, on the other hand, was short-sighted. In business it was easy to keep the business, but it was hard to advance. The only thing that made Lu Zhenhu happy was this granddaughter, but the only regret was that Lu Jinghan was only a granddaughter, not a grandson. Lu Tianyi's son was still too young, he hadn't grown up yet. He hoped that he could be like Lu Jinghan in the future. Lu Zhenhu would be comforted in his old age. I have a feeling that the clan's conference this time will not be peaceful. Lu Jinghan said calmly. Although the Qin family seems to have reached the point of no return, the Qin family has 2 life-saving trump cards to choose from. Lu Tianyi and Lu Tianli were both taken aback. They didn't expect House Qin to have 2 trump cards. Wasn't this a little too much? The first one is the ancient sex marriage contract. We all know about this, and although it looks like it doesn't exist anymore, the truth is that the ancient sex didn't say anything about canceling the contract, so it's still valid. Lu Jinghan said. Lu Tianyi and Lu Tianli suddenly remembered that House Qin still had this life-saving trump card. Yes, in the ancient sex, before the marriage contract was cancelled, House Qin was still an in-law of the ancient sex. Just how powerful was the ancient sex? Even the hidden houses didn't dare do anything to them, let alone the normal houses. The House Yu really did demote House Qin and kick them out of the noble house ranks, and the ancient sex came looking for trouble after that, then things would be really bad. The second one is Lin Yi. Lu Jinghan continued, this is also the trump card that I think is most likely. Lin Yi and House Qin. Lu Tianyi paused. Yes, House Chen's granddaughter Yushu is Mingyao's best friend, and she seems to have a good relationship with Lin Yi. Lin Yi's protectiveness is known to the world, and anyone who dares to touch the people around Lin Yi will either die or be crippled. Not just House Yu, even the hidden House Pai and House Xiao won't give them any face. Lu Jinghan said, if Lin Yi really intervenes in this matter, then the Qin family will probably be safe. Yes, if Lin Yi interferes, then this would be much easier. Lu Tianyi nodded. What Jingjing means is that Lin Yi might interfere with House Chen's business. It's not a possibility if Yushu says it, then it's 100%. Lu Jinghan said, as far as I know, the relationship between Yushu and Lin Yi is unbelievably good. Then House Wu. Right, I get it, it's still Lin Yi. Lu Tianyi thought through some things after Lu Jing'an's words. I heard that Wu Qintian took Lin Yi's follower as his boss. So naturally, Lin Yi wouldn't ignore House Wu's business. That's right, so the most dangerous one right now is us, House Lu. Fortunately, House Kong is on the verge of collapsing, and they've become enemies with the Shao family. If House Kong wants to become a noble house, then the Shao family will be the first to object. House Yu wouldn't offend the Shao family that has the hidden House Pai's support, so House Kong isn't a big threat to us. Lu Jinghan said, but we can't let our guard down. Who knows if House Yu will play some tricks? Lu Tianyi and Lu Tianli nodded in agreement. Jinhu on the other hand spoke up as well. Do you all understand? Just do what you're supposed to do. Theoretically speaking, House Lu shouldn't be in any danger, but there are still unknowns. Still, Jingjing said that if Lin Yi really were to interfere with House Wu and House Chen's business, he might also interfere with House Lu's business. Recently, under Jingjing's suggestion, our relationship with Lin Yi is in the honeymoon stage. We understand. Lu Tianyi and Lu Tianli nodded. Now, only Elder Chen's face was a little gloomy. The noble house meeting this time was probably going to be a disaster. What should they do? But no matter what, they had to go. If they didn't go, wouldn't that mean that they were giving up on the title of a noble house? Wouldn't that be what House Yu wanted? As for Yutian's suggestion, Elder Chen was actually quite tempted. Letting Yushu and Lin Yi marry each other would naturally solve the crisis House Chen was in. With Lin Yi's current strength, even if House Yu was furious, they wouldn't be able to do anything to him. But the main problem now was the ancient sect. He didn't dare break off the ancient sect's engagement. Once he made the decision and betrothed Yushu to someone else, the ancient sect, he wouldn't be the only one to be blamed, Yushu would as well. Chapter 1420. After coming out of the tomb, Elder Yu rushed back to Songshan City without stopping, running faster than a rabbit. It wasn't that he was afraid that Lin Yi would come after him for the qi-gathering pill, but he realized that he was poisoned. When he was at the entrance of the tomb, Elder Yu didn't care about the arrows, but after coming out of the tomb he felt dizzy and had red spots all over his body. With Elder Yu's experience, he knew that he was poisoned. But at first, Elder Yu didn't care and took an antidote pill. This was a medicine unique to the hidden houses and it could cure most poisons, so he thought that he would be fine after taking it. But at night, Elder Yu realized that the red spots on his body were increasing, and not only did he feel dizzy but he also felt nauseous. It was even more serious than before. Only then did Elder Yu realize that something wasn't right. He regretted attacking the male thief. If he didn't underestimate the strength of the male thief and his companions, he wouldn't be in this situation right now. He wouldn't have been hit by the poison arrow if he was with the male thief. After realizing that the antidote didn't work, Elder Yu didn't dare stay any longer. He quickly went back to Songshan and found a hotel to rest in before calling the hidden house Yu's housekeeper, who was in charge of contacting him. "Housekeeper Yu, I'm Yu Huixing," Elder Yu said respectfully. "Oh, Yu Huixing, did you finish your mission? Did you come out of the tomb? Did you get anything?" Housekeeper Yu asked. Elder Yu was disappointed. He had risked his life and almost died, yet the hidden house Yu didn't care about his safety, but what they wanted was what they wanted. When he called, they didn't even ask about his safety, only asking if he got anything. "The tomb was too dangerous and I was poisoned. I'm back in Songshan now and the antidote pill doesn't work. I can't hold on much longer. Housekeeper Yu, please send a medical expert to cure me." Elder Yu was a bit pissed and he didn't say that he got the qi-gathering pill, only saying that he was poisoned. "Poisoned? What happened to you? How could you be so careless?" Butler Rain was stunned. "Does that mean you didn't complete the mission? I told you the ancient tomb is very dangerous. Those who raided the tomb with me are basically all dead." Elder Yu was even more bitterly disappointed. It seemed like the hidden house Yu didn't even treat him, an outsider, as a member of the family. He was ordered around like a dog. "I see. Steward Yu was a little disappointed. He didn't think much of Elder Yu's ability. It's impossible for the Hidden House Yu to send people to save you. Other than you being a new member of the Hidden House Yu, it's not very obvious. Everyone else is recorded by the Noble House Arbitration Association. If someone were to go to the common world, they'd definitely be watched by the association. If they find out about you, we won't be able to bear the consequences. Housekeeper Yu, are you saying that you're going to give up on me? Elder Yu was getting annoyed. Wasn't this Hidden House Yu a little too cruel? He was about to die trying to hide House Yu and they were making excuses? Yu Huixing, of course that's not what I meant. Steward Yu sensed Elder Yu's displeasure and quickly explained, you understand the difficulties of the hidden houses. How about this? In Songshan there's a miracle doctor, the Yaowang of the Hidden House Xiao. We, the Hidden House Yu, are related to the Hidden House Xiao by marriage. I'll arrange it for you. You go find him to cure the poison. Of course he might charge you some medical fees, but there's nothing we can do about it. Just give it to them. Steward Yu knew Yaowang's personality. This person was extremely evil. How could he not charge for medical fees? Of course, if House Yu and House Xiao negotiated directly, they might waive the medical fees, but House Yu would inevitably owe House Xiao a favor. Steward Yu didn't want to owe House Xiao a favor because of Yu Huixing. It wasn't worth it. I understand. Elder Yu's heart was extremely troubled. He hung up the phone and took a deep breath, letting it out. He didn't want to explode. Thinking of the common House Yu, Elder Yu could only hold it in. Without the support of the Hidden House Yu, the common House Yu would soon fall. Soon, Steward Yu sent him a text with Yaowang's address. He told Yu Huixing that he had already contacted Yaowang, and that Elder Yu could go there directly. Elder Yu had no choice but to drag his sick body to the address on the message and head to the floating cloud bar. Fortunately, he was an Earth-class early phase master. If it were a normal person, they would be lying on the bed, unable to move, waiting for death after getting poisoned. But even so, Elder Yu almost fainted when he got to the floating cloud bar. This must be Yu Huixing. Elder Yu. Qibing got the news from House Xiao that Yu Huixing was coming to cure the poison, and he was extremely excited. He had Sihua push his wheelchair outside the bar, waiting for Yu Huixing's arrival. This was a big client. The head of the common House Yu. How could Qibing let go of such a good opportunity to earn money? Qibing had been very unlucky recently. He wanted to do something that would make his grandpa look at him differently, but now that Elder Yu was here, he was going to make a killing. Everyone knew that the common House Yu was rich, and Qibing came to Songshan to earn money just like House Yu did. The only difference was that House Yu kept earning money and Qibing kept losing money. How could Qibing be satisfied with this? In the eyes of the jealous Qibing, Yu Huixing was a treasure bowl. The common world House Yu wouldn't let him die, and now that he'd come to them, it wouldn't be Qibing's style if he didn't spend a lot of money on him. That's me. Elder Yu said weakly, may I ask if you are young Master Zhao? Is Yaowang here? I'm poisoned and I'm here to ask Yaowang to cure me. Facing Qibing, Elder Yu didn't dare to be careless. Although Elder Yu was a member of the Hidden House Yu, he was just a dog of the Hidden House Yu. Qibing, on the other hand, was a true disciple of House Xiao. Although he was an illegitimate child, his position was still much higher than Elder Yu's. Of course. Elder Yu, please come in, let Yaowang treat you. Qibing smiled as he waved his hand, and Sihua and Jiaonong helped Elder Yu into the back room of the floating cloud bar. Chapter 1421. Elder Yu saw that Yaowang's body was covered with lightning rods, and he was a little surprised. But he was here to cure his illness, and he couldn't ask too much about this mysterious phenomenon. After all, masters always did things that people couldn't understand. Perhaps this was Yaowang's way of training. Yaowang and Zhao Qibing were a match made in heaven. Both of them had evil hearts. In fact, Yaowang knew that Elder Yu was poisoned the moment he felt his pulse. This poison was strong, but it wasn't a problem for Yaowang. Lin Yi could easily deal with this poison, so Yaowang didn't feel any pressure. In terms of medical skills, Yaowang wasn't any weaker than Lin Yi. The difference was that one was researching on saving people, and the other was researching on harming people and making money. This poison is very strong. It's a 1,000-year-old poison. Yaowang let go of Elder Yu's wrist, his brows furrowed. This poison, it's not a normal poison, it's a poison that's been lost for a long time. I've only seen it in some ancient texts. Now your pulse matches the poison mentioned in the ancient texts. What should I do? Elder Yu jumped in fright. He'd heard of Yao Wang's name before. To be able to become one of the head doctors of the hidden house Xiao, he definitely wasn't a simple character. If he said that this poison was very strong, then wouldn't it mean that he could die easily? Thinking about this, Elder Yu was extremely depressed. He went to the tomb and almost lost his life, but the hidden house Yu treated him coldly. It really pissed him off. It's not that there's no way. Coincidentally, when I saw this 1,000-year-old poison, I also saw the antidote. Elder Yu, you're lucky to have met me. If it were someone else, you'd just be waiting for death. Yao Wang came from a hidden house and he had quite a high position in the hidden house Xiao, so he didn't have to be too polite when talking to Elder Yu. Wang, please save me. This old man will reward you handsomely. Elder Yu's face turned red upon hearing that there was hope. He quickly cupped his fists and begged. Of course. You don't have to thank me. You're from House Yu and I'm from House Xiao. Our families are in-laws, so of course I won't refuse. Yao Wang said righteously. If that's the case, thank you. Elder Yu quickly said. However, the medicine king changed the topic and said, this poison is extremely overbearing. The medicinal ingredients for the antidote are naturally very precious. There are 1,000-year-old knotweed, 10,000-year-old snow lotus, 3,000-year-old ginseng, and other precious medicinal ingredients. The cost of these medicinal ingredients. Don't worry, this old man will bear the cost. How could I let the king of medicine spend so much money? I can't thank you enough for helping me detoxify the poison. How can I let you pay for it? Elder Yu quickly said, how much does it cost? Not much, just 1 billion. Yao Wang nodded and said. How much? Elder Yu paused, not hearing clearly. 1 billion. Yao Wang repeated. Gah. Elder Yu froze, his mouth wide open, speechless. 1 billion? What kind of cosmic joke was this? 1 billion to detoxify a poison? Even if the antidote was made of diamonds, it wouldn't be worth that much. Yao Wang's words shocked even Zhao Qibing. 1 billion. Yao Wang really dared to ask for that much. From what Zhao Qibing saw, 300 or 200 million was the most he could ask for, but Yao Wang was asking for so much. But Zhao Qibing liked it. Young Master Zhao, isn't the treatment fee a little too expensive? Elder Yu finally came back to his senses and said to Zhao Qibing. Elder Yu, you're wrong. Zhao Qibing waved his hand. Elder Yu, think about it. These are all precious herbs, we don't have much in stock, we're mainly keeping them for Grandpa and the masters of the house. Now that we're using so much to detoxify the poison for you, if someone in the house needs to break through, we won't be able to find them. Grandpa is about to break through Earth class to Sky class. You know how much we've sacrificed for House Yu. Zhao Qibing's words infuriated Elder Yu. Even if all these treasures were real, it didn't cost 1 billion. Did he think he was an idiot? It wasn't like House Yu didn't have any treasures. Although they didn't have the knotweed or the 10,000-year snow lotus, they did have treasures that were worse than this. He didn't believe that House Xiao had so many treasures. But even if he doubted it, he couldn't do anything about it. Elder Yu's life was in their hands, he couldn't turn against House Yu. Young Master Zhao, this treatment fee is an astronomical figure to me. I don't have much money, do you think? Can you reduce it a little? Elder Yu suppressed his anger and asked. He had to ask. If he really wanted to leave, he could only go back to the hotel and wait for his death. Of course. Zhao Qibing waved his hand. Elder Yu, I'll tell you the truth, it's because you're here. If it were someone else, we wouldn't be willing to sell these treasures for 1 billion. Elder Yu almost cursed. You scammed me of my money and I have to remember your kindness? But he didn't dare. I really don't have much money. Elder Yu knew the hidden house Yu's wealth like the back of his hand. Most of the hidden house Yu's money was earned by the common house Yu. How could he not know? But how could the hidden house Yu give him money to detoxify the poison? That phone call from before had completely disappointed Elder Yu in the hidden house Yu. His heart was cold and his heart was cold. From his point of view, he was just a dog of the hidden house Yu. His life and death had nothing to do with the hidden house Yu. So, Elder Yu didn't even think about calling the hidden house Yu for money. As for the common house Yu, Elder Yu believed that although Yu Shuixing would definitely give him money if he asked for it, but Elder Yu knew how much the common house Yu's wealth was. Although the common house Yu was rich, most of the money was earned by the hidden house Yu. All these years, the common house Yu had earned a total of 1 billion. If he used this money to detoxify the poison, what would happen to the common house Yu? Wouldn't they be on the path of decline? Elder Yu couldn't do something like this. Chapter 1422. As expected. As expected, this 1 billion came prepared. Elder Yu was so pissed that he wanted to curse out loud. Did he calculate how much money House Yu had and that's why he brought this up? This 1 billion was really high standard. Young Master Zhao, you see, House Yu can take out this 1 billion, but that's liquid capital. If we took it out, some of our businesses would have to stop operating. Elder Yu explained helplessly. I say, Elder Yu? What does all this have to do with me? Qibing frowned, getting impatient. His status was much higher than Elder Yu, who had just become a hidden noble house, so he didn't waste any more time. Elder Yu, I'll tell you the truth. If you want to cure your illness, then take out 1 billion. If you can't use cash, then you can use items of equal value to trade. Real estate, companies, or even House Yu's auction house. Otherwise, you'll have to find someone else. Qibing had been drooling over House Yu's properties for a long time. If he could get it, he'd be doing a great service to House Zhao, and even his grandpa would look at him differently. Elder Yu was depressed, but if he really turned and walked away now, that would be a reckless move. But he'd rather die if he had to use House Yu's rise and fall as the price. Suddenly, Elder Yu thought of something. Something that might be able to move Yao Wang and Qibing's hearts. Elder Yu didn't want to part with it, but it wasn't worth a single cent to him right now. When he returned to the hidden House Yu, he'd still have to hand it over, and it wouldn't benefit him at all. That was the qi-gathering pill he found in the tomb. A miraculous medicine that could allow someone to break through from Earth-class late-phase peak to Sky-class. But this miraculous medicine wouldn't be of much use to Elder Yu. Elder Yu's current strength was still far from Earth-class late-phase peak, and if he was discovered by the hidden House Yu, it'd be troublesome. He might as well use it to trade for his life. He believed that House Zhao wouldn't go around telling people about this. With that thought, Elder Yu opened his mouth. I'll use treasures of equal value to trade, can I? What kind of treasure? The King of Medicine's interest was piqued as he raised his eyebrows and asked. A qi-gathering pill. It's worth a lot and there's no market for it. Elder Yu made up his mind. Qi-gathering pill? What's that? Qibing had never heard of a qi-gathering pill before. Is it valuable? Is it worth 1 billion? Young Master Zhao, this qi-gathering pill is a divine medicine for cultivation. I believe that with the Medicine King's experience, he should know the value of the qi-gathering pill. Elder Yu knew that Zhao Qibing didn't know much, so he didn't get angry. After all, he was the one asking for help, so he explained patiently. What you're talking about, is it really the legendary qi-gathering pill? Yao Wang's eyes froze as he looked at Elder Yu. Elder Yu, you're not joking, right? My life is in your hands, King of Medicine. Do you think I can casually joke around? Elder Yu smiled bitterly. This time I risked my life for this qi-gathering pill, and in the end it's all for nothing and I've suffered so much. Elder Yu's face was a little bleak as he said this. He spent so much effort, got heavily injured, even stabbed his egg and got poisoned to bring this qi-gathering pill out of the tomb. But to save his life he had to give it away to someone else. How sad. If you really have something like this, then I'm the one who got the best deal. Yao Wang knew the value of the qi-gathering pill. After hearing Elder Yu's confirmation, he couldn't help but be moved. Can I have a look? Of course. Elder Yu had already decided to use it as a life-saving bargaining chip. How could he not let Yao Wang see it first? And so, Elder Yu took out a small bottle and carefully passed it to Yao Wang. He was a little reluctant. He had risked his life for this and now it was going to belong to someone else. The Medicine King carefully took the bottle, opened it and sniffed. His face immediately revealed a shocked expression. From the appearance, color and fragrance of the elixir, it should be at least a third-grade elixir. The color and smell are very similar to the legendary qi-gathering elixir. It should be true. I won't lie to you. Elder Yu felt his heart ache. All right, I'll do my best to cure you. Yao Wang said decisively. This was a great deal. One had to know that this was a spiritual medicine that could raise a practitioner's strength from Earth-class late-phase peak to Sky-class. Currently, the head of House Zhao was stuck at this bottleneck and hadn't made any progress for more than 6 years. If he and Zhao Qibing could give this pill to the head of the house, then their positions in House Zhao would be like heroes who had done a great service to the family. Wait. Elder Yu waved his hand to stop Yao Wang. Elder Yu, is there anything else? Yao Wang asked calmly. He was afraid that Elder Yu would change his mind and use 1 billion to exchange for this qi-gathering pill. My other body parts are injured too. Can you heal them all together? Since Elder Yu had spent so much money, naturally he couldn't just cure the poison. Naturally, that's not a problem. Yao Wang agreed quickly. Actually, curing the poison wasn't easy for Yao Wang, but it wasn't too much effort either. It was just that in order to make Elder Yu feel that this pill was worth it, Yao Wang purposely changed the time from 1 day to 3 days. As for the injuries on Elder Yu's hand and balls, they were small problems. Yao Wang took care of them directly. After the treatment, Elder Yu felt much better. He breathed a sigh of relief and returned to the hotel. Yao Wang, that qi gathering pill, what is it? Zhao Qibing didn't ask. Chapter 1423. Naturally, Yao Wang nodded. And we, with Master Bing as the leader, will become the heroes of House Xiao. Really? Ah. Qibing laughed excitedly. Doesn't that mean I have hope to return to House Xiao and find my roots? Of course, not only that, no one in House Xiao would dare to look down on you anymore. Even the young madam wouldn't say anything about it. Since Yao Wang was sent to Songshan to help Qibing earn money, whether he was willing or not, in the eyes of House Xiao, he was part of Qibing's illegitimate son's faction. Now that Qibing was so powerful, his status would naturally rise as well. All right. Qibing nodded. If that's the case, it really is a good thing. I'll report this to father later. While they were talking, Uncle Zhu brought Zhao Fafa into the back room of the floating cloud bar with a pale face. Uncle Zhu, how was it? Did you teach that servant a lesson? Qibing already knew the effects of the qi gathering pill through Yao Wang's explanation. He was in a good mood, imagining the scene of him returning to House Xiao, so he didn't notice Uncle Zhu's expression. Master Bing, do you know who this kid wanted me to teach a lesson to? Uncle Zhu was about to explode when he remembered what happened earlier. This was asking him to die. Who? Isn't it just a servant? Qibing paused when he heard Uncle Zhu's unfriendly tone. Servant? That servant is Lin Yi. And Lin Yi's follower, Guden. He's asking me to jump into a fire pit. Uncle Zhu pointed at Zhao Fafa. He's trying to kill us. Lin Yi. Qibing froze. Could it be that the girl he's talking about is Tang Yun? Tang Yun. He dared to tease Tang Yun. I'm really shocked, why isn't he dead yet? Uncle Zhu didn't know what to say after seeing Zhao Fafa's fearless attitude. Slap. Qibing slapped Zhao Fafa's face. Motherfucker, you're really something. I don't even dare to do anything to Tang Yun and you dare? You're really a piece of work, get lost. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't argue with you. Don't let me see you again. Zhao Fafa didn't dare say anything else. He covered his face and ran away. He didn't know why Zhao Qibing was so angry, but it was obvious that this Lin Yi was very powerful. Even Zhao Qibing and Uncle Zhu were afraid of him. Zhao Fafa knew that he had messed with someone he shouldn't have messed with. Although Zhao Fafa left, Zhao Qibing still felt wronged. After listening to Uncle Zhu's story, his face darkened. Lin Yi again. I'll kill you sooner or later. Master Bing, wait until you get some support from the Zhao family. Wait until the master breaks through to the heaven rank. By then what will Lin Yi amount to? Killing him is easy. Yao Wang reminded. Right, who would I be afraid of once grandpa advances to the heaven rank? Qibing's expression softened as he thought about his bright future. He picked up his phone and called his father Zhao Guangyin. Qibing, what's wrong? Did House Yu's Yu Huixing go to see you? Guangyin didn't know why Qibing was calling him. He's here, but I won't let him get away with it. I'll pay him 1 billion. Qibing said. What? 1 billion? Guangyin froze and frowned. Qibing, isn't that a little too high? After all, House Xiao and House Yu are in-laws. Wouldn't we be offending House Yu? Guangyin was worried about his wife, Yu Xiaojin's attitude. Wasn't Zhao Qibing openly going against House Yu? What's wrong? Father, are you blaming me? Qibing wasn't happy. He felt that his father was always worrying about this and that. He couldn't achieve anything great. That's not it. But Qibing, this price is a little high. Is it okay? Guangyin couldn't say that it was because of Yu Xiaojin. Father, let me finish first. Qibing said. Actually, I know a huge secret. Aunt Yu isn't with you, is she? Secret? Well, I'm in the study by myself. Guangyin paused. Actually, I know that Yu Huixing has a super elixir with him. It's called the Qi Gathering Pill. Qibing had already thought of how to maximize the credit. He turned it from a coincidence to a plan. What? Qi Gathering Pill? How does he have such a miracle elixir? Guang Yin almost threw the phone away. This was too shocking. As early as 3 years ago, when Lord Zhao's breakthrough to the heaven rank was fruitless, he went to look for this kind of medicinal pill. But how could this kind of medicinal pill be so easy to find? He had to give up after a fruitless search. He didn't think that Qibing would have news of this elixir. It's an accident, isn't it? Who cares? Qibing said. So I was thinking, how can I get his elixir and give it to Grandpa? I can't take it by force, so I discussed it with Yao Wang and offered a price of 1 billion. Under Yao Wang's guidance, I got Yu Huixing to give me the elixir. Qibing was a man who knew how to get people to his side. When he talked to his father, he pointed out Yao Wang's contribution. This made Yao Wang feel that Qibing was a good master. What? The qi-gathering pill is in your hands now? Guang Yin was surprised and overjoyed after hearing Qibing's words. He stood up abruptly. Is that true? Yu Huixing is willing to give me such a miracle elixir? Of course it's in my hands. Qibing said proudly. Yu Huixing naturally didn't want to give it to me, but he had to in order to save his life. Then, does the hidden house you know about this? Guang Yin suddenly thought of an important thing. Would House Yu come looking for trouble? Of course not. Even if Yu Huixing had 10,000 guts, he wouldn't dare give us the elixir. Even if we cured him, he'd be severely punished when he returned to the hidden house. Qibing didn't care. So, Father, we can't tell on to you about this. Only Grandpa knows. Chapter 1424. Thank you, Father. Qibing was a little excited. Was he going to become a practitioner soon? Qibing was really looking forward to it. Generally speaking, whether it was the internal martial arts or the external martial arts, they were all cultivated from a young age. Once they passed that age, it would be very difficult to make any progress in cultivation. This was because at that time the meridians and bones would already be formed. No matter how hard they worked, there would not be much effect. Naturally, Zhao Qibing had missed the chance to train, so he didn't go back to training. This was the same as Qin Yutian. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, Qin Yutian wouldn't be able to achieve anything in his lifetime. Of course, there were ways to change this flaw. Although Lin Yi's method was effective, it was too miraculous. Normal people wouldn't be able to do it, so for sects and hidden houses, there was another way to change a person's meridians and bones. This pill was called the Foundation Elixir. Although the Foundation Establishment pill was not a very high-grade pill, only a few people in the ancient sects could refine it. The refining process was complicated and the success rate was extremely low. Therefore, the cost was also ridiculously high. Normally, unless one was an important person in the clan, it was impossible for them to consume this kind of pill. If Zhao Qibing could use it, it meant that House Zhao would officially bring him into the core of the family and raise him as a core disciple. Alright, I'll tell Father right away. Get ready, I'll send someone to pick you up. Guang Yin said solemnly. Yes, Father. Qibing replied. It had been so many years and he hadn't been able to officially enter House Zhao. This time it would be the start of his dream. Lin Yi didn't expect this little thing to be so stubborn. General Wei Wu chatted with him for so long, but the little guy still didn't want to leave. He wanted to stay in the tomb. But this pig's IQ wasn't low. He had deep feelings for Zhang Liju, so it was understandable. General Wei Wu and Skybolt Pig talked for a while more, and Skybolt Pig brought General Wei Wu to a stone room at the back. Lin Yi saw this and quickly got up to follow with Xiaoke. Inside the stone room, Lin Yi saw a mountain of herbs piled up on the floor. Although many of the herbs were already dried, Lin Yi could tell from the appearance that there were many rare and precious herbs among them. After the Skybolt Pig walked in, he casually picked up a few herbs with his 2 front paws and stuffed them into his mouth. He then chewed on them with relish. This scene stunned Xiaoke, but Lin Yi was prepared for it. Lin Yi had seen the introduction of Skybolt Pig in Zhang Liju's medical notes, and he knew that this animal relied on herbs to increase its strength. It wasn't surprising that it ate herbs like rice. Woof woof. General Wei Wu said something to Skybolt Pig, and Skybolt Pig said something to General Wei Wu as well. After that, General Wei Wu raised his head and looked at Lin Yi. He used his paw to point at the herbs and pointed at Skybolt Pig. He then waved his paw and pointed at the door. You're saying that there aren't these herbs outside, so it doesn't want to leave? Lin Yi roughly understood what General Wei Wu was trying to say and asked hesitantly. Woof woof. General Wei Wu quickly nodded, indicating that Lin Yi was right. So that's how it is. Lin Yi looked at the mountain of herbs. If he were to move all these herbs out, it would be quite a big project. Lin Yi didn't have the legendary storage ring, and he didn't have any machines in this tomb that he could borrow. One could imagine how difficult it would be to move all these herbs out. But if he didn't move out, Skybolt Pig probably wouldn't go with him. This little guy wasn't stupid. He knew that he could increase his strength by staying here, but there wouldn't be any benefits if he left. It seemed like it wasn't entirely because he missed Zhang Liju. However, if he were to ask Lin Yi to buy these herbs for Skybolt Pig to eat, Lin Yi really didn't have that much spare cash. Don't underestimate these things. Just the ginseng and Ganoderma in front of him, any box would be worth a lot of money. Lin Yi couldn't trick Skybolt Pig into leaving and not fulfill his promise. If he did that, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Lin Yi still needed him to find the fire spirit's fruit. What could he do to solve this problem? Lin Yi was in a difficult position. Right? Wasn't Skybolt Pig's goal to increase his strength? If he could increase General Wei Wu's strength, then naturally he could increase Skybolt Pig's strength as well. Currently, Skybolt Pig was only at the middle phase of Golden class, but he could increase his strength to the early phase of Mystic class. With this kind of enticement, would this little thing leave with him? Skybolt Pig finished the herbs and the chi in his body increased a little. Lin Yi could feel it, but it was too little. It could only be described as insignificant. Since he had made up his mind, Lin Yi walked over to Skybolt Pig. The little guy seemed to be afraid of Lin Yi, but perhaps he knew that Lin Yi was a mystic middle phase peak and he wasn't strong enough to fight him. Although he was afraid, he didn't dare to run. Lin Yi bent down and placed his hand on Skybolt Pig's body. He activated the art of dragon mastery and transferred a strand of energy to Skybolt Pig. The energy entered Skybolt Pig's body and instantly turned into chi. It merged with Skybolt Pig's chi and his strength increased instantly. Although Lin Yi only transferred a little bit of energy, it was still much more than what Skybolt Pig got from eating the herbs. It would not be an exaggeration to say that they were worlds apart. Lin Yi, on the other hand, only gave it a small taste of sweetness. Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that his idea was realized. Seemed like the little guy was the same as General Wei Wu. He didn't practice any arts or chants, and the pure energy in his body was absorbed passively, as if it was a natural treasure. Perhaps this was the difference between spiritual beasts and human cultivators. Lin Yi's action made Skybolt Pig widen his eyes, and he looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. The little thing's IQ wasn't low. It could naturally tell the difference between the effects of Lin Yi's energy and the effects of the herbs it had consumed. Chapter 1425. Skybolt Pig's heart skipped a beat. In actuality, General Wei Wu had told him that Lin Yi was a doctor as well as a practitioner, and he had Zhang Liju's medical notes. He could be considered as Zhang Liju's medical inheritor, and it wasn't impossible for Skybolt Pig to follow him out. After all, Zhang Liju had told Skybolt Pig before he died that if other doctors met him, he could go with them and help them with their medical practice. This was Zhang Liju's wish as well. Zhang Liju had never met a suitable disciple in his life. It was hard to find a good teacher, but it was also hard to find a good disciple. Zhang Liju was a strict man, and he would rather have nothing than a substandard disciple. In the end, he couldn't find a suitable disciple, and he could only regretfully bring all his knowledge into the tomb, waiting for the right person to visit the tomb and inherit what he had learned. So Zhang Liju's tomb was designed in a very strange and ingenious way. After figuring it all out, Lin Yi admired Zhang Liju. First of all, in order to enter the tomb and take Skybolt Pig away, one had to be someone who could communicate with spirit beasts. Lin Yi couldn't do it yet, but General Wei Wu could, and so Lin Yi and the others entered the tomb without a hitch. Otherwise, they would have been stopped by the spirit beast guarding the tomb. This was Zhang Liju's first test. If he could communicate with a spirit beast, then he could enter the tomb, but if this person wasn't a doctor and was just a normal tomb raider, then the poison mist and arrows would be enough to kill the person who visited the tomb. Of course, if they were a doctor, then they could detoxify the poisons. This kind of person was what Zhang Liju was looking for as a medical inheritor. As for the character and other things, it wasn't something Zhang Liju could care about. It didn't matter if the character was good or bad, as long as they were skilled in medicine and could communicate with spirit beasts, then they could be considered as his people. Plus, Zhang Liju had saved countless people in his life, but his character was a mix of good and evil and he wasn't a rigid person. This was somewhat similar to Lin Yi's character. The skybolt pig had obtained even better benefits than when he was crazily eating medicinal herbs, so he immediately waved his hands in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi was a little speechless. Wasn't this little thing a little too snobbish? Previously it wouldn't leave no matter what I said. Now that I've given it some benefits, it came to please me. Xiao Wei, tell it that if it wants to level up it has to come with me, Lin Yi said to General Wei Wu, asking him to pass on his message. However, before General Wei Wu could say anything, Skybolt Pig leaped up and hugged Lin Yi tightly as if he was afraid that Lin Yi would change his mind and not bring him along. Woof woof. General Wei Wu pointed at Skybolt Pig and then at Lin Yi's mouth. It was obvious that this little guy could understand Lin Yi's words. Oh. Lin Yi was taken aback, but he nodded immediately. Since Zhang Liju could communicate with Skybolt Pig, it meant that Skybolt Pig could understand human language. This guy had always understood Lin Yi's words and this pissed him off. Did this little thing laugh at him when he asked General Wei Wu to pass on his message? Stupid pig, you can understand my words? Lin Yi glared at Skybolt Pig. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig nodded in fear, afraid that Lin Yi would get angry and not bring him along. Let's go. Lin Yi couldn't be bothered to argue with an animal. He pulled Skybolt Pig down from his body and threw it on the ground. Walk by yourself. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig wanted to hug Lin Yi's body because he felt that Lin Yi's body was like a spirit, filled with the energy of heaven and earth. Just a little bit of it and he'd be able to benefit from it. Xiaoka saw how cute Skybolt Pig was and she couldn't help but reach out to touch it. Suddenly Lin Yi's jade sent a warning signal. Lin Yi was startled, and although he didn't know what danger was about to happen, he still called out subconsciously, "Careful." Xiaoka didn't expect that the moment she touched Skybolt Pig, all the hair on its body stood up, and it turned into an angry beast. It pricked Xiaoka's hand, causing it to bleed. Why does this little guy look like a porcupine? Xiaoka quickly retracted her hand and started sucking on her finger. I didn't think that it could protect itself. Lin Yi smiled and shook his head. This little guy didn't have any attacking abilities, but it had defensive abilities. The jade warning was because Skybolt Pig was going to prick Xiaoka. Yeah, it won't even let me touch it. Xiaoka didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He touched it and got pricked. With the addition of Skybolt Pig, Lin Yi didn't plan on disturbing the owner of Zhang Liju's tomb anymore. He already got what he wanted and Lin Yi wasn't a greedy person. Lin Yi's goal in this tomb was to find the fire spirit's fruit. So when Elder Yu took the chi gathering pill, Lin Yi didn't feel bad about it and he didn't chase after him and risk his life to get it back. Lin Yi didn't need to waste his energy on something that wasn't useful to Lin Yi. With Skybolt Pig and General Wei Wu, Lin Yi and Xiaoka quickly retreated through the death door. It was a safe and stable journey and they didn't meet any danger. It seemed like their guess was right. Wherever Skybolt Pig was, there was no danger. They retreated until they reached the exit of the life door and death door and Xiaoka suddenly felt dizzy. Male thief. I'm a little dizzy, can we rest for a bit? Xiaoka was confused as to why she felt dizzy, but from her perspective, it was most likely due to the lack of oxygen in the tomb for too long. Oh. Dizzy? Lin Yi paused. What's wrong? The air in the tomb was thinner than the outside world, but it shouldn't affect someone like Xiaoka who was used to harsh environments. Even old He didn't feel any pressure, so why would Xiaoka? As a result, Lin Yi was curious about Xiaoka's sudden dizziness. As a doctor, especially since there were many dangers in the tomb, Lin Yi still asked her nervously. I don't know, maybe it's because the air in the tomb is thinner? Xiaoka said uncertainly. Chapter 1426. Wait. Jade. Lin Yi suddenly remembered that the jade did warn him when Yu Xiaoka was petting the pig. Lin Yi quickly grabbed Yu Xiaoka's hand. Yu Xiaoka didn't think that Lin Yi would grab her hand so suddenly. She thought that Lin Yi wanted to comfort her because of her dizziness and she blushed. Their relationship became more and more intimate after this trip to the tomb. Yu Xiaoka's heart couldn't help but race and this time was no exception. However, after Lin Yi grabbed Yu Xiaoka's hand, he didn't do anything else. Instead, he checked Yu Xiaoka's wound. So it's like this. Lin Yi saw that Yu Xiaoka's wound was red and swollen, and he nodded in realization. Tianlei pig's thorns are poisonous. Poisonous? Yu Xiaoka felt that the wound on her hand was indeed itchy after hearing what Lin Yi said. Stupid pig, give me the antidote. Lin Yi kicked Tianlei Pig and said, "Oink oink." Tianlei Pig felt wronged as if he was expressing his innocence. He didn't do it on purpose, but he instinctively defended himself when Yu Xiaoke got close to him. Lin Yi couldn't understand Tianlei Pig's words, but General Wei Wu could. Woof woof. General Wei Wu pointed at Yu Xiaoke and waved its paw, then it made a sleeping posture. "Oh. It means that the poison isn't a big deal and you'll be fine after sleeping," Lin Yi explained to Yu Xiaoke. "I see." Yu Xiaoke sighed in relief. "Is there any way to cure it?" Lin Yi asked again. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig heard Lin Yi's words and was a little unwilling, but after thinking about it for a while he walked over to Xiaoke and used his front paw to pull out a hair from his body. He poked Xiaoke's hand with the hair on the other side of the hair follicle. Xiaoke cried out in pain. However, Lin Yi didn't stop him. He knew that the pig was trying to cure Yu Xiaoke's poison. If he dared to harm Yu Xiaoke again in front of Lin Yi, then he wouldn't be able to live anymore. GG. The Skybolt Pig threw away its fur and shook its body, telling Lin Yi that the poison had been detoxified. How miraculous. The wound on my hand isn't itchy anymore and I don't feel dizzy anymore. Yu Xiaoke exclaimed in surprise. This little thing is so miraculous. Next time watch your enemies carefully. If you poke people again I'll kick you out. Lin Yi said to the pig. GG. The Skybolt Pig nodded to show that it understood. After leaving the tomb through the life door, Lin Yi brought Xiaoke, Skybolt Pig and General Wei Wu, jumping up to the cliff on the side. Lin Yi ran like he was flying and Yu Xiaoke's qinggong was good as well. The two humans and two beasts soon arrived at the nearby town. Flying Sparrow, let's part ways here. We can get on the train from here. Lin Yi pointed at the train station. We'll meet again. We're going to part ways. Yu Xiaoke looked at Lin Yi, unwilling to leave. Since she was young, other than her master, the male thief was the one who cared for her the most. Yu Xiaoke would remember this tomb raiding experience for the rest of her life. She would never forget how the male thief had saved her from danger time and time again. Go back and live a good life. Don't come out anymore and I won't do it anymore. I can't take care of you anymore. Lin Yi said to Yu Xiaoke. Oh. Yu Xiaoke nodded, a little disappointed. The male thief said that he was looking for a spiritual medicine for his girlfriend, so it was normal for him to give up. Will we meet again? Xiaoke knew that her question was a little silly. The male thief wasn't raiding tombs anymore and she wasn't participating in missions like this anymore. The chances of the two of them meeting each other were basically zero. Perhaps they would never see each other again. If there are no accidents, I don't think so. Lin Yi smiled. The identity of the male thief was coming to an end. This person wasn't Lin Yi in the first place, it was Lin Yi in disguise. Now that the mission was over, naturally he wouldn't pretend to be the male thief anymore unless Lin Yi had nothing better to do. I see. Yu Xiaoke already knew the answer but she only gave up after asking it. Alright, let's part ways here. Lin Yi said. You're very pretty and a kind girl. I hope you find the happiness that belongs to you. How could Lin Yi not know what Yu Xiaoke was thinking? But Lin Yi really didn't have the mood to develop anything with her. One was because of the restrictions of his identity, and the other was because he was worried about Xiao Xiao's safety. Oh. Yu Xiaoke lowered her head as if she understood what the male thief meant. But she suddenly raised her head again and gathered her courage. Can you take off your mask and let me see your face? No. Lin Yi rejected her decisively. What kind of joke was this? Wouldn't you recognize me if I took it off? Just one look. Just one look, I won't tell anyone. Yu Xiaoke begged. What difference does it make? Lin Yi said faintly. Please, let me have a good memory. Yu Xiaoke said after some hesitation. Alright, how about this? Perhaps we'll meet again. I'll appear with my original face and if you recognize me I won't deny it. Is that okay? Lin Yi said helplessly. Oh. Yu Xiaoke didn't think much about it, she thought that the male thief was just trying to brush her off. Alright, I'm leaving. Take care. Lin Yi said and turned around, bringing General Wei Wu and Skybolt Pig with him as he walked away. Male thief, I like you. Yu Xiaoke looked at the back of the male thief and finally gathered enough courage to shout out her heart. Yu Xiaoke wasn't a shy girl, in fact she dared to love and hate. She felt that if she didn't voice out her feelings now, she wouldn't have another chance in the future. Lin Yi's footsteps paused for a moment, but he continued to walk forward as usual. I'll definitely find you. Xiaoka shouted out her heart and became bolder. Although I don't know what you look like, it's rare to see a dog and a pig with you. I just need to remember them and I'll find you. Chapter 1427. Looking at General Weiwu and Skybolt Pig beside him, Lin Yi wanted to cry but no tears came out. Wasn't this too obvious? Lin Yi decided that he must hide Skybolt Pig well when he got back. He must never bring him out. It's decided. Xiaoka saw that Lin Yi didn't answer her and she couldn't help but feel sad and disappointed. She shook her head, turned around and quickly ran to the bus station. She suppressed her feelings deep in her heart. Once she returned to the orphanage, she would become the old Xiaoka again. She would work hard for the children every day. And Xiaoka, you can do it. Xiaoka cheered herself on. And so she smiled again. Lin Yi seemed to have left, but in fact he watched Xiaoka get into the car before leaving with General Weiwu and Skybolt Pig. The car they took was Qin Yutian's and he probably drove back already. So Lin Yi didn't go back to the campsite. He took off his mask and took a taxi back to Songshan. Returning to the familiar villa, Lin Yi pressed the doorbell. Lin Yi didn't bring the key when he left. Not long after, footsteps came from the villa. Lin Yi could tell that it was Yushu. Shield bro. Yushu opened the door and saw Lin Yi standing outside. She exclaimed in excitement, Yao sis, Shield bro is back. Yushu ran towards Lin Yi after shouting. Her chest was jiggling and it made Lin Yi excited. He hadn't seen it for a long time. It was great that he could get such benefits as soon as he came home. Hurried footsteps came from the villa again. Mei Yao came out as well. Seeing Lin Yi, she smiled happily. Lin Yi, you're back. I'm back. Lin Yi nodded to the Mississippi. The miss had gotten a lot friendlier these days. How are you guys? Did anything happen at home? Lin Yi's words made Ming Yao's face dim. Something happened. Zhou Jiaming seems to be injured. I don't know the details, but can you go check on him? Wu Qintian is heavily injured as well and he's resting in your room with Zhou Jiaming. Wu Qintian. Lin Yi blinked. Why is he here? Lin Yi couldn't be blamed for his surprise. His relationship with Qintian had never been that good. There wasn't any deep hatred between them, but Qintian did see him as a rival in love. Why would he come here to recover after getting injured? It's a long story. Meng Yao didn't know how to tell her about Qintian. Why don't you ask Zhou Jiaming? All right. Lin Yi didn't really care if Qintian was injured or not, but Zhou Jiaming was injured as well. Lin Yi nodded and quickly walked into the room. Lin Yi didn't need to care about Skybolt Pig. General Weiwu would take it to where it belonged. Oh, what's this? Why is it so cute? Yushu was surprised to see the Skybolt Pig behind Lin Yi. A little pig, Lin Yi said. It's called Skybolt Pig. It's used to find the fire spirit's fruit. What a cute pig. Yushu said, reaching out to pet the pig. Right, we've been talking about Zhou Jiaming. How's the fire spirit's fruit? Meng Yao was worried about Xiao Xiao's safety as well. Not in the tomb, but there's some news. I'll go check on Air Gooden first. We'll talk about the fruit later. Lin Yi glared at Skybolt Pig. Look at whose friend, they're all on our side. If you hurt them again, you'll get a beating. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig nodded hard. Yushu and Meng Yao went to study Skybolt Pig, and Lin Yi quickly walked into his room. Gooden heard the sound as well, but he had no strength left in his body. Other than barely being able to talk, he could only lie on the bed. Qintian, on the other hand, was in an even worse state. His meridians were all broken and his organs were all shifted. Boss, you're back. Gooden finally smiled when he saw Lin Yi walk in. I didn't disappoint you, I finally made it. What's wrong with you, kid? You've only been here for a short while and you've already learned how to talk. Lin Yi knew about Gooden's situation, and he could roughly guess what was going on. Overexertion? Yeah. Gooden nodded. It's nothing. I can still hold on. Boss, you're good. Qintian was worried. After all, he had some conflict with Lin Yi and he was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't accept him. He'd be in big trouble then. Not only would he be heavily injured, but he'd also offended a bunch of noble houses. House who would be done for. Wu Qintian, since when did I become your big boss? Lin Yi blinked, confused as he looked at Qintian. Boss, let me tell you. Wu Qintian did his best when I was injured. Gooden had already accepted Qintian in his heart, and naturally he wanted Lin Yi to accept him as well. And so, Gooden told Lin Yi everything that happened after Lin Yi left, including how he killed the two masters from House Pai and then Jin Wudi. Then Uncle Zhu brought Zhao Fafa to Tang Yun, and Qintian sacrificing himself. Oh. Lin Yi looked at Qintian shocked. He didn't think that he would change like this. He actually accepted Gooden as his boss. Big boss, don't worry. I won't have any thoughts about Sun Jingyi anymore. She's my big sister-in-law now, and I'll protect her like how I protect Tang Yun. Qintian was afraid that Lin Yi would still remember what happened to Sun Jingyi, so he quickly explained, "Me and Sun Jingyi, we don't have anything to do with each other." Lin Yi smiled bitterly after hearing what Qintian said. "It doesn't matter if we have anything to do with each other or not. I've decided that I'll focus on learning martial arts from Boss and Big Boss. I hope Boss and Big Boss won't look down on me." Qintian quickly expressed his intentions. Alright, I'll accept you." Lin Yi could see Qintian's sincerity. This person actually didn't have much conflict with Lin Yi, but because of Sun Jingyi he was set up by Xiao Xiao a couple of times. Now that he was injured protecting Tang Yun, Lin Yi couldn't reject him. Chapter 1428. Having someone like Qintian as a bodyguard wasn't a bad idea, so Lin Yi decided to take him in. Qintian's face relaxed after hearing Lin Yi's words. "Thank you, boss. But I can't teach you much about physical martial arts. I don't have any special training experience." Lin Yi waved his hand and said, "However, I can concoct some special potions that can transform the body for you. Soak your palms in it and it should help your iron fist training a lot." Lin Yi was a physical practitioner as well, but he didn't have much of it and he didn't have any practitioner's arts. He only used some of the old man's potions to change his body's muscles and bones, and this was one of the reasons why Lin Yi was stronger than normal practitioners. "That's great, thank you, boss," Qintian said excitedly. He thought that Lin Yi would have to go through a period of testing before giving him some benefits, but he didn't think that Lin Yi would give him a greeting gift right away. In fact, Lin Yi did want to test Qintian, but time didn't allow it. Lin Yi wanted to find the fruit as soon as possible, and he didn't have much time left in Songshan. He had to settle things here and go on a new journey. And so, since Gooden had already tested Qintian, Lin Yi didn't need to test him again. At least, Lin Yi could see the sincerity in Qintian's eyes. "No need to thank me, but don't be stupid and let people trick you again." Lin Yi looked at Qintian. "You've been tricked by Xiao Xiao so many times and that's fine, but you need to be smarter in the future. Don't always go out and act like you're cool." "Xiao Xiao, didn't I get tricked by sis-in-law? We're family, so it's not tricked." Qintian explained awkwardly, "But don't worry, boss, I'll be careful." Lin Yi nodded and didn't say anything else. Zhao Fafa brought a Zhu guy to cause trouble for Tang Yun? Is Xiao Qibing tired of living? After that, I analyzed it with Miss Chu. It should be because Uncle Zhu didn't know that Tang Yun was your girlfriend, boss, and Zhao Fafa didn't tell the truth, so they went to find trouble with Tang Yun's sis-in-law. Qintian explained. "Big boss. This name is a bit too weird. You can call me Big Boss Lin Yi from now on." "You can also call me Zhou Jiaming," Lin Yi corrected. "Alright, I'll call him Boss Lin Yi then," Qintian said straightforwardly. He'd call him whatever Lin Yi liked. "You don't know? I can't just let it go if you don't know. But you're the one who's injured, so I'll respect your decision on how to deal with Xiao Qibing." Lin Yi raised his head and looked at Qintian. "Do you want some benefits, or do you want to step on him yourself when you're strong enough?" Qintian wasn't Tang Yun, so Lin Yi couldn't help him. Although he was Lin Yi's follower, there was still a difference between him and a woman. "Can I? Boss Lin, can I step on him myself?" Qintian heard Lin Yi's words and his eyes lit up. "Forget about the benefits, I want to step on him myself." "Alright, I'll let you step on him yourself." Lin Yi sighed and decided to help Qintian increase his strength. He'd left, Gooden had left as well, and he didn't feel safe leaving Uncle Fu here alone. The only person he could use right now was Wu Qintian. "Boss Lin Yi, I'll wait for this day. No matter how much pain I have to endure, no matter how much effort I have to put in, I can endure it. As long as I can cripple that old man with my own hands, I'll be able to act cool for a moment." Qintian gritted his teeth and swore. Lin Yi was speechless at Qintian's pretentious attitude. He said unhappily, "How many days do you want to wait? Endure hardships and endure? You can wait, but I can't." Qintian froze after hearing Lin Yi's words. What do you mean? Nothing. Tomorrow you'll go and cripple that old man Zhu, then come back and stay in the villa peacefully as a bodyguard for Mengyao Yushu and Tang Yun. Lin Yi said. Tomorrow? Qin Tian opened his mouth and looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. He wondered if there was something wrong with his ears. He was still lying on the bed today. How was he going to take revenge tomorrow? Not to mention that his injuries weren't healed yet. Even if he did, he wouldn't be a match for Uncle Zhu. Tomorrow. Lin Yi nodded with certainty. Qin Tian, on the other hand, was very confused. He didn't know what Lin Yi was so confident that he could go to Uncle Zhu for revenge tomorrow. He asked, Boss Lin Yi, my injuries. And I'm not strong enough? Are you going to hug him and let me hit him? I'll heal your injuries and I'll help you increase your strength, Lin Yi said. We'll talk about this later. I'll send Gooden back first. I'm fine. I've been holding on for so many days already. A little more doesn't matter. Gooden shook his head nonchalantly. We can't drag it any longer. Did you tell Yuan? I'm worried about you going back alone. I'll send you back to the train and have Yuan go home with you? Lin Yi asked. I did tell her about my injuries, but asking her to go back with me. I didn't ask, so I don't know if she'll go back with me. Gooden scratched his head embarrassedly. Boss, I'm afraid that she'll reject. How do you know if you don't ask? Lin Yi was experienced. She'll go back with you. At first, Lin Yi wasn't sure if Tang Yun would go back with him, but she chose to go with him without hesitation. I'll just ask? Gooden hesitated and decided to call Yuan. He didn't let Lingshan leak the news of Yutian's injuries, and of course that included Lin Yi. First, Yutian didn't want his sister to know. If he told Lin Yi, it would be the same as letting Yushu know. The siblings were very close, and Yutian was afraid that Yushu would be sad if she knew. Second, he didn't want Lin Yi to cause trouble for House Yu. Everyone had seen House Yu's strength in the tomb. It wasn't wise to ask Lin Yi to go to House Yu to avenge him. Lin Yi had more important things to do. Chapter 1429. Today Lingshan had an appointment with Sun Jingyi from House Sunday. He wanted to talk about Qin Yutian. Although she knew that the chances were slim, she had to try no matter what. It was a coffee shop, and Lingshan was wearing sunglasses as she sat at a table in front of a glass window, waiting for Sun Jingyi to arrive. Sun Jingyi was still driving her red Audi A4L. What surprised her was that Wu Qintian didn't bother her at all. As Sun Jingyi returned to her peaceful days, she started to miss Lin Yi. Could it be that she really fell in love with this young man? Sun Jingyi denied this thought. Lin Yi didn't have anything worthy of praise, did he? He was just a big thief. How could he be worthy of her, Sun Jingyi? But Lin Yi wasn't just a big thief. He had other identities and he wasn't weak either. In fact, Sun Jingyi couldn't find a reason to ask Lin Yi out again. So she started to look down on Lin Yi in her heart, reminding herself not to be interested in Lin Yi anymore. Sun Jingyi parked her car in front of the coffee shop and walked in quickly. She saw Lingshan sitting by the window. Although Sun Jie didn't have much contact with House Song, Sun Jingyi still had an impression of this famous captain of the criminal investigation team. She had seen her on TV before. Recently Lingshan had solved many big cases. Miss Sun? Hello. Lingshan naturally knew about Sun Jingyi's information beforehand. So she recognized Sun Jingyi the moment she walked in. She stood up and waved. Sun Jingyi nodded and sat in front of Lingshan. Officer Song, why are you looking for me? Since they chose to meet in a coffee shop, it couldn't be about work. But Sun Jingyi couldn't understand why Lingshan wanted to meet her. They didn't seem to have any personal relationship. Call me Lingshan. This isn't the police station. Lingshan smiled. I'll call you Jingyi, is that okay? Of course. Sun Jingyi was even more confused. What was Lingshan trying to do? Jingyi, come sit. What would you like to drink? Lingshan smiled. Anything. Juice is fine. Sun Jingyi sighed and decided to skip the pleasantries. Her instincts told her that Lingshan wanted to meet her for something. So Sun Jingyi decided to go straight to the point. Lingshan, why are you looking for me? It's like this. Lingshan was embarrassed that Sun Jingyi saw through her intentions. Then I'll be straight to the point, okay? House Sun's practitioner's arts, which stage are you at? Only the first stage. Why? Could it be that you want to ask for House Sun's help during the noble house meeting? Sun Jingyi couldn't figure out what Lingshan was thinking. At the moment, the only thing that could make the two interact was the noble house meeting. That's not it. I just want to ask you to help heal someone, Lingshan said, finding it hard to bring up the topic. Heal someone? Sun Jingyi frowned. What do you mean? I'm not a doctor. How am I supposed to heal someone? His meridians are damaged. Normal doctors won't be able to help him. I can only ask for your help, Lingshan said carefully. Lingshan, since you're asking for my help, then you should know how special House Sun's practitioners' arts are, right? Sun Jingyi didn't reject her directly. She asked in a roundabout way. I know, but he really needs help. If he can't recover, then his family will never be able to recover, Lingshan said. So, I'm begging you from the bottom of my heart. You can help him no matter what it is, just tell me. Lingshan, don't you think that your request is a little presumptuous? Sun Jingyi decided to tell the truth. This was a matter of principle. Sun Jingyi couldn't lie to Lingshan. I know it's a little presumptuous, but this is his last hope. Lingshan smiled bitterly. Forgive me for being blunt, but if I heal him, then the true qi produced in my body can only be used by him in the future. I am not related to him in any way. If it were you, would you do this? Sun Jingyi said faintly, unless you're my future husband. If not, then I'm sorry. Hey, actually, I already knew the result. Jingyi, don't be angry. Lingshan saw that Sun Jingyi was a little angry and quickly explained. I know you're worried, but I really can't do this. Sun Jingyi rejected. Instead of begging me, you might as well get him a meridian opening pill. Meridian opening pill? Lingshan smiled bitterly. This is a treasure even in a hidden house. How am I supposed to get it? Sun Jingyi shrugged helplessly. It was true. The meridian opening pill was hard to come by even in a hidden house, let alone Lingshan. Otherwise, House Sun wouldn't have such a high position as one of the noble houses. Although House Sun's arts didn't just heal wounds, it could also increase a person's strength. But if the meridian opening pill was too common, House Sun wouldn't be able to rise to such a high position. I'm sorry, but that's not something I need to worry about. Sun Jingyi nodded to Lingshan. Lingshan, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. Alright, thank you too. Lingshan sighed and was about to call the waiter for the bill when an ear-piercing alarm sounded. Lingshan raised her head and saw that there was a commotion at the bank across the street. The alarm was coming from the bank. Not good. Lingshan realized something immediately. Excuse me, she said to Jingyi before leaving the money on the table. She didn't even bother to keep the change and ran out of the coffee shop as fast as she could. But even so, Lingshan was one step too slow. A figure carrying a sack ran out of the bank. His speed and body were both super fast, and in the blink of an eye he disappeared into the alley beside the bank. Lingshan felt a sense of familiarity as she looked at the disappearing silhouette, but she didn't have time to think about it. She crossed the road and rushed to the alley beside the bank, but the alley was empty by the time she got there. There was no one there at all. Chapter 1430. Looking at the empty alley, Lingshan had no choice but to give up. The robbers should have already left with a vehicle, and chasing after them would be futile. She turned around and went back to the bank, her face a little dark as she yelled, "Everyone, don't panic, I'm the robber. Is the person in charge here?" I'm the vice president on duty," a middle-aged man said as he ran over. "I was the one who called the police. I didn't rush here, I was on the other side of the road and heard the alarm," Lingshan said. Lingshan said, "I'm the captain of the city police's criminal investigation team, Song Lingshan. This is my ID. Please tell me what happened and show me the surveillance footage." Alright. The vice president naturally didn't care if Lingshan just happened to see it or not. He'd heard of Lingshan's name before. It was like this. Lingshan couldn't help but furrow her brows after hearing the vice president's explanation. The exact same robbery method, the exact same outfit, at least from the initial analysis, it should be the same person as the previous robberies. As the vice president was explaining the situation, police sirens came from outside the bank. Lu Wangli brought his men and rushed into the bank only to see Lingshan there. "Captain Song, why are you here?" Lu Wangli paused. "I was in the cafe opposite and I saw the whole process of the robber's escape, but he was too quick, he was already gone by the time I got here," Lingshan said, a little regretful. Yeah, from the previous robberies, this robber seems to have gone through professional training. Not only is he fast, but he's also fast when he escapes. Lu Wangli nodded helplessly. This is the 6th case already. It's only been a few days. Ling Shan could only put Yutian's matter aside for now and focus on solving the robberies. The robber's boldness and arrogance were out of her expectations. This robber had reached a stage where he didn't care about anything. Hidden House Zhao, the young master of the house, Zhao Guangyin, was anxiously standing in front of his father's room, waiting for him to come out. Elder Bai, how long has father been in seclusion? Guangyin looked at the time and asked urgently. It's been about 3 days. According to the time he should be out soon. Elder Bai said faintly, please don't rush, young master. I'm not allowed to disturb the master when he's in solitary training. In order to advance from the earth rank to the heaven rank, old man Zhao would often go into seclusion, but he would come out every 2 or 3 days to inquire about the Zhao family's affairs. If there was nothing important, he would go back into seclusion. All right. Zhao Guangyin nodded respectfully. Is Guangyin here? Old Zhao's voice came from the room behind Elder Bai. Head, the young head is here. Elder Bai quickly replied respectfully when he heard Elder Zhao's voice. Let him in. Old man Zhao said. Yes, Patriarch. Elder Bai quickly said and made a welcoming gesture to Guangyin. Young head, please come in. Guangyin nodded and said to Elder Bai, Elder Bai, I have something very important to tell my father. It concerns the future of the Zhao family, so please don't let anyone near. Don't worry, young head, I will watch the door. Elder Bai's face turned serious after hearing Guangyin's words. Although he was directly under Elder Zhao's command, Guangyin was still the young head. Elder Bai still respected him a lot. Since Guangyin said it was important, then whether it was for the sake of the Zhao family or his responsibility to Elder Zhao, he had to guard the door. He couldn't let anyone near. Zhao Guangyin walked into Old Master Zhao's villa. At this moment, Old Master Zhao was sitting in the living room of the villa's main entrance. He was dressed in a white training outfit and held a cup of fragrant tea in his hand. He looked like an immortal. Father. Guangyin bowed and said respectfully. Yes, Guangyin is here. What is it? Lord Zhao nodded and said, from what you said, is there anything that concerns the future development of our Zhao family? What is it? Father, it's about Lil Bing. Guangyin said. Zhao Qibing. Old Zhao couldn't help but frown when he heard the name. He had never liked this illegitimate child. After all, House Zhao and House Yu were in-laws, and Zhao Guangyin had an illegitimate child outside. How was he supposed to face House Yu like this? So, Elder Zhao could only pretend that he didn't know about it and didn't mention it publicly. He also didn't let Qibing return to House Zhao, and House Yu didn't find anything wrong with it. What trouble did he cause this time? Elder Zhao's first thought was that Qibing had caused trouble. Father, Zhao Qibing has done a great deed for House Zhao this time. Zhao Guangyin actually hoped that Elder Zhao would recognize Qibing. After all, Qibing was his son and Zhao Guangyin was a man who valued boys over girls. Even though Qibing was an illegitimate child, he still valued him a lot. He couldn't help but exaggerate when he introduced Qibing's contributions to the family. Great deed? What credit? Old man Zhao was stunned. What did he do outside? It's like this. Guangyin quickly explained how Qibing and Yawang had tricked House Yu's Yu Huixing into giving them the qi-gathering pill. What? Qi-gathering pill? This thing really appeared. When old man Zhao heard Zhao Guangyin's words, he immediately stood up in excitement. He was a calm person and it was rare for anything to make him so excited. However, today he couldn't hold it in anymore. Yes, Zhao Qibing, this child, it's been hard on him. He's just being filial to you. He's always remembered that you're an Earth class late phase peak and he's been trying so hard to break through to Sky class, but to no avail, so he tried everything he could to find the whereabouts of this qi-gathering pill. Guangyin said, this child, he dared to ask Yu Huixing, an Earth class, for this pill. He's willing to put his life on the line for you, father. You have to know that if Yu Huixing isn't happy, Lil Bing won't be a match for him. Chapter 1431. Guangyin, there's no need to say, I understand what you mean. Old Zhao naturally understood the meaning behind Guangyin's words. He waved his hand and interrupted, let Elder Bai bring Qibing back. No matter what, whether or not the chi-gathering pill is real or fake, he has this filial piety. As his grandfather, I can't disappoint him. Father's wise. Zhao Guangyin said excitedly after hearing his father's words. Guangyin, this child, I'll acknowledge him this time, of course. If the pill is real, I'll give him what he deserves. Old Zhao said, in our house, we've always been fair with rewards and punishments. Naturally, those who contribute will not be neglected. It should be real. Yu Huixing risked his life to get it. It can't be fake, Guangyin said. But House Yu, keep it a secret from Jean. If Yu Huixing isn't an idiot, he wouldn't say it himself. Jean may be your wife, but she's still a Yu. Old Zhao said faintly, of course if we can't keep it a secret, then there's no need to keep it. We didn't steal or rob, it was a normal exchange. What can House Yu do to us? So be it. To me the pill is much more important than the marriage with House Yu. Once I become a sky class, House Zhao's strength will rise to another level. You're right, father. Guangyin breathed a sigh of relief. He was afraid that House Yu would really get the news and push all the responsibility to Qibing, handing him over. But now that Elder Zhao had spoken, he'd take all the responsibility on himself. Alright, bye, come in for a bit. Old Zhao's face was calm, but his heart was impatient. It was a chi-gathering pill, after all, a super medicine that could make him become a sky class. The sooner he used it, the sooner he could become a sky class. Head. Elder Bai quickly walked in and bowed respectfully to Elder Zhao and Guangyin. Bai, you and Guangyin go to Songshan and bring Qibing back. Make sure he's safe. Old Zhao said. Yes. Elder Bai said. Father, I'm going to Songshan with Elder Bai, is that okay? As for the Noble House Association, Guangyin was a cautious man. He'd suffered too much from his playfulness when he was young. If it weren't for the marriage with House Yu, he wouldn't have been able to become the young head of the house. Although he was the eldest son, his other brothers weren't any weaker than him. They were all mystic late-phase masters, so Guangyin had to be careful. That's not a problem. You're bringing our son home, not doing anything else. The Arbitration Association won't stick their noses into other people's business. Lord Zhao smiled and said, Guangyin, you've been a bit too careful all these years I've been in seclusion. This isn't the bearing a future patriarch should have. If I really step into the heaven realm, then I won't be managing the family's affairs in the future. I want to pursue a higher heavenly Dao, and you should support the Zhao family. The Arbitration Association doesn't allow people from the hidden houses, especially Earth-class masters, to go to the common world. They're afraid that the hidden houses and the noble houses will have conflicts and break the balance. But if you go to your personal business, that's fine. Yes, father, I understand. Guangyin couldn't help but be overjoyed. Years of wife had finally become a woman. Just as his father had said, once he stepped into the heaven class, then he wouldn't be managing the family's affairs anymore. At that time he could slowly take over House Zhao and become the true head of the house. Guangyin and Elder Bai didn't stay for long. They both went to pack up and prepared to leave for Songshan, Floating Cloud Bar. A black Audi A8L quietly parked in front of the door. After the driver got off, he quickly opened the front and back doors. The first to get off was naturally Elder Bai, followed by Guangyin. No matter what, Zhao Guangyin was the future head of House Zhao, and old Zhao's words had revealed some information. Elder Bai naturally had to give him the necessary respect. Elder Bai and Guangyin entered the Floating Cloud Bar. The bar was already open for business, and there was a lot of noise inside. Elder Bai frowned, evidently not a fan of this environment, but he didn't say anything. Where's your boss? Guangyin asked a random waiter. You're looking for the boss? Please wait a moment. The waiter wasn't surprised. He knew that there were many people who came to the bar to ask for Yao Wang's help, so he used the walkie-talkie to contact Su Jiaonong. Mr. Su, someone's looking for you. Su Jiaonong quickly walked out of the room and saw Guangyin and Elder Bai. But Su Jiaonong didn't know them. He walked over and said, I'm the owner of the bar, Su Jiaonong. What do you need? Su Jiaonong? Is Zhao Qibing here? Guangyin thought that his name was a joke. It was comparable to Tsihua's. You're looking for Master Bing? May I ask who you are? Jiaonong couldn't tell what these two were here for, and he didn't know if they were here to cause trouble or to seek medical help. I'm his father. Guangyin said impatiently, get Zhao Qibing out here. Jiaonong paused, subconsciously thinking that this was a sexual assault. After all, someone suddenly appeared out of nowhere and said that he was Zhao Qibing's father. It was normal for Jiaonong to misunderstand. Sihua bro, someone's sexual assault. Jiaonong quickly turned on the walkie-talkie and asked Sihua for help. Guangyin was about to explode. He came here to look for his son, but was treated as a sexual assault? What kind of logic was this? He was just about to explode when he saw Sihua rush out of the room with a few of his men behind him. Sihua said as he walked, "Who dares to commit sexual assault here? Do you want to die?" "Sihua bro, it's him. He says he's Master Bing's father." Jiaonong pointed at Guangyin. "Boss." Jiaonong didn't know Guangyin, but Sihua did. Sihua jumped when he saw that Guangyin was here in person. He kicked Jiaonong. "You bastard, this is the big boss. What kind of eyes do you have? He's Master Bing's father." Jiaonong paused, his face darkening. How would he know that this was Zhao Qibing's father? Chapter 1432. Sihua nodded and went into the room to push Qibing out in a wheelchair. Qibing was pleasantly surprised to hear that his father was here to welcome him. "Dad, you're here?" And Zhao Guangyin nodded. "Qibing, take that thing and come with me to the Zhao family." There were too many people here, so Guangyin didn't mention the qi gathering pill. "Okay." Qibing nodded quickly. "That thing is in my arms. Should we leave now?" "Let's go." Guangyin knew that Qibing's legs were broken, but seeing his son in a wheelchair with his own eyes still made him very emotional. He walked over and pushed Qibing's wheelchair towards the entrance of the bar. "Sihua, I'll leave everything here to you." "Don't worry, boss, I'll do my best to take care of things here while Master Bing isn't here." Sihua nodded. "Okay, but remember, you have to keep a low profile during this time, don't cause any trouble." Guangyin reminded, "There's a saying that goes, take a step back and you'll see the world. The head of the house is definitely going into isolation, and we can't let anything happen during this time. We have to do everything we can to pave the way for the head of the house to level up." "Yes, boss." Sihua's face turned serious as he replied. It seemed that old Zhao was going to break through to sky class soon, and once he did, the strength of House Zhao would increase immeasurably, so they couldn't let anything happen while he was leveling up. Guangyin nodded and left the bar with Elder Bai and Qibing. They came to the car and Elder Bai carried Qibing to the back seat first, leaving him in the front passenger seat. He did this because Guangyin was the future head of the house, and because Qibing had done a great service for House Zhao. If the qi gathering pill was real, then Qibing's position would definitely rise and he might even become the heir. After Zhao Guangyin got in the car, he ordered the driver to drive back to the Zhao family. They didn't want to stay in Songshan for too long. "Qibing, let me introduce you. This is Elder Bai, your grandpa's housekeeper and also the old housekeeper of House Zhao." Guangyin said. "You can call him Grandpa Bai." "Yes, father." Qibing replied respectfully before turning to Elder Bai. "Hello, Grandpa Bai. Thank you for your help earlier." "Hi, young master, this kid is not bad. He's polite." Elder Bai smiled and nodded. Guangyin felt a bit awkward. He knew that Elder Bai was implying that his and Yu Xiaojin's son was arrogant and bossy, but it wasn't too surprising. He was the son of the first wife, the son of the head of the house. Especially at their rebellious age, they didn't know their place. This Zhao Qibing, on the other hand, was praised by Elder Bai. Guangyin knew what kind of person Qibing was. He was arrogant and bossy outside, but he was a bit more obedient in front of the elders. But Zhao Guangyin wouldn't say anything. In the family, although he was the young master, Elder Bai was very close to his second brother's son. He didn't like Zhao Guangyin's own son, and Elder Bai was an elder of the family. When Zhao Guangyin became the head of the family, he would definitely enter the elder council. So his opinion on the next head of the family was very important. Now that he had a good impression of Qibing, Guangyin was happy. When it came to choosing the next head of the house, even if Qibing was chosen, it would be much better than his second brother's son. "You're flattering me, Elder Bai. Being polite is a traditional virtue," Qibing said humbly. "But I haven't seen much of the world, so I don't know the rules. Please don't mind me, Elder Bai. When I see Grandpa later, please give me some pointers." "Of course, when the time comes you'll just follow your Grandpa Bai. I'll help you check." Elder Bai was very happy with Qibing's words. They didn't say anything on the way, and when the car entered the Zhao manor, Qibing and Elder Bai breathed out in relief. The importance of this pill was priceless, and they were afraid that something would happen on the way. Fortunately, House Yu didn't know anything yet. After entering the manor, they could only park in the parking lot. The inside of the manor was full of rugged paths and only people could walk, not cars. So Guanyin and Elder Bai had to get off the car and walk while Qibing was still in the wheelchair. Qibing was fascinated by the scenery inside the manor. Was this house Zhao? Wouldn't it be great if he became the master of this place? Zhao Qibing took a deep breath. He had decided that he had to seize this opportunity. If he became the master of House Zhao one day, then whatever Lin Yi, whatever Air Gooden, they wouldn't even be able to do anything to him. They were just ants in front of him. Guanyin didn't think that he'd see his wife Yu Xiaojin, not long after he got off the car, staring at Qibing. Although she was asking him, it was obvious that she'd recognized him. With Yu Xiaojin's information network, he believed that she'd gotten hold of Qibing's information a long time ago. It was just that Guanyin hadn't had much contact with Qibing these past few years, and Qibing hadn't returned to House Zhao yet, so she turned a blind eye to it. But this time Guanyin had brought Qibing back so brazenly, and this made Xiaojin uncomfortable. Xiaojin, this is Zhao Qibing. You should know him already. I won't introduce him. Guanyin said awkwardly. He didn't know why Qibing was here. Bao Guanyin, you're really something. Xiaojin smiled coldly. I thought that you'd let go of that thought after all these years, but you actually brought him back. Young madam, if you have something to say to the young head, we'll talk about it when we're free. Elder Bai cut her off coldly. The head said that he wants to see Qibing and I'm bringing him to him. What? Xiaojin paused. She didn't think that it would be Elder Zhao wanting to see Qibing. She thought that Guanyin wanted to talk to Elder Bai and let Qibing return to his ancestry, but she didn't expect this to be the case. Chapter 1433. Oh, okay. Xiaojin was helpless. Old Zhao had spoken, and as much as she didn't want to, there was nothing she could do. She just didn't understand. Didn't old Zhao always hate Guanyin's playfulness when he was young? He hated his illegitimate son as well, and Qibing hadn't been home all this time because the old man didn't support him. Guanyin didn't dare bring this up. Xiaojin's eyes were full of suspicions as she watched the three of them leave. She was from a hidden house after all and wasn't an idiot. But since it was old Zhao who had ordered it, she couldn't just ask him about it. She could only keep her suspicions for now. Qibing, when you see Grandpa later, you have to be polite. Don't say anything you shouldn't. Guanyin reminded Qibing at the entrance of old Zhao's villa. Don't worry, father, I won't say anything. Qibing nodded and said cautiously. Elder Bai had already gone in to inform old Zhao, but came back quickly. Young master Qibing, the old head wants us to go in together. Right now, Qibing hadn't been acknowledged by old Zhao yet, so Elder Bai called him by his name. Once he did, he'd have to call him Master Bing. No matter how high Elder Bai's position was, he was still the head housekeeper of House Zhao, and he couldn't just ignore the rules. Guanyin nodded and brought Qibing into the villa. This was Qibing's first time meeting old Zhao, and he'd only met Guanyin before. The white-robed old man in front of him gave Qibing a lot of pressure, and he didn't dare look him in the eye. Luckily, he was in a wheelchair and he had something to support him, so he wasn't too nervous. Qibing, right? Raise your head, let Grandpa see you. Old Zhao sighed softly when he saw Qibing. This kid was already so old, but this was his first time seeing him in person. He'd only seen pictures before. Yes, Grandpa. Qibing raised his head respectfully. Please forgive me, Grandpa, I can't stand up to greet you, my leg injury hasn't healed yet. It's all right. Old Zhao waved his hand, not reacting to Qibing's politeness like Elder Bai did. Old Zhao knew Qibing better than Elder Bai. He knew that this grandson of his was a bit wild outside, so he didn't know if the politeness in front of him was fake or real. I heard that you got a qi-gathering pill? Yes, Grandpa, it's here. Zhao Qibing carefully took out the bottle from his pocket and held it with both hands. I've never seen you before, Grandpa, but I've always been thinking about you. So when I heard that House Yuzu Huisheng had this pill, I tried everything I could to get it for you, Grandpa. Lil Bai, have you checked the Qi Convergence pill? Lord Zhao asked. No, the young master and I didn't touch the pill, we wanted you to check it yourself. Elder Bai said carefully. One had to know that Elder Bai was an Earth class late phase peak, just one step away from Sky class. To avoid suspicion, he didn't touch the Qi gathering pill. It wouldn't be good if it turned out to be fake and people suspected that he'd secretly swapped it out. Bring it here. Old Zhao nodded. He knew what Elder Bai was thinking, but after all these years he trusted Elder Bai a lot. Every time he found a treasure, Elder Bai would give it to him first. Yes. Guanyin took the bottle from Qibing's hands and gave it to Old Zhao. Old Master Zhao took the small bottle and immediately became excited. Looking at the small bottle in his hand, Old Master Zhao took a deep breath and carefully opened it. He put it under his nose and sniffed it. His face immediately revealed a surprised expression. Yes. This must be the Qi convergence pill. Old Man Zhao's breakthrough was imminent, so he had a deeper understanding of the Qi gathering pill than others. He had also searched everywhere for this kind of pill, so he had an unusual understanding of the appearance and smell of the pill. So with just one look, Old Man Zhao could basically confirm that this was a Qi gathering pill. It really is the Qi convergence pill. Old Zhao stood up abruptly and looked at Qibing excitedly. Huh. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect this. Our House Zhao has so many capable people and we've tried our best to find it, but it was the bastard of House Zhao who found it. I didn't even mention this to him, but he had the intention to do so. You guys take a look, Guanyin, you take a look too. This grandson is amazing. One couldn't blame Old Zhao for being so happy and excited. This was a spirit herb that had allowed him to step into the sky class. And it could be said that Zhao Qibing was the hero of House Zhao. No one could compare to what he had done. Grandpa, you're flattering me. Qibing may be a bastard and he grew up among the commoners, but Qibing always remembers that he's a member of House Zhao, so House Zhao's business is Qibing's business. This is what Qibing should do. There's nothing to be proud of, Qibing said respectfully. Not bad, you're not bad. Old Zhao finally gave Qibing a positive evaluation. You're thoughtful. This time what reward do you want? Tell me, as long as I can do it, I'll promise you. Qibing heard his grandpa's words and was overjoyed. He wanted to be the heir of House Zhao, the future head of House Zhao, but he couldn't say this out loud. He wasn't an idiot and his grandpa was just being polite. If he really said that he wanted to be the head of House Zhao, it'd be too arrogant. Even if his grandpa didn't say anything, he'd definitely not like him in the future, and he wouldn't be able to be the heir then. So, Zhao Qibing's expression remained unperturbed. I've said it before, this is something I should do, it's not a merit. Since it's something I should do, what reward do I still need? Lin Yi nodded. Haha. Old Zhao laughed. You really don't want a reward? Say it like you want to practice or you want to return to House Zhao or even raise you as the heir. Chapter 1434. This. Can I really ask for it? Can you really agree to anything, Grandpa? Qibing hesitated, pretending to be greedy. Of course. I'm a man of my word. Disappointment flashed across Old Zhao's eyes as he saw Qibing's impatience. He'd thought that this bastard who grew up among the commoners was special, but he didn't think that he'd reveal his true self so quickly under his own temptation. But no matter what, Zhao Qibing was the biggest contributor to House Zhao, so as long as he made a request, Old Zhao would have to agree. Not only did it involve Old Zhao's reputation, but it was also for others to see. Old Zhao wouldn't mistreat anyone who contributed to House Zhao. I'll ask for something that's too much. Qibing gritted his teeth as if he'd made a huge decision. Say it. Old Zhao's face was a little unhappy, but he didn't show it on his face. Grandpa. I know that this request is a little too much, but I still have to say it. Qibing said. Grandpa, I want to ask for a meridian opening pill. I hope you can agree to it. Old Zhao paused. He thought that Qibing would say that he wanted to be the next head of House Zhao, and Old Zhao would agree. But he'd seen through Qibing's character, and if he didn't have any achievements in the future, it wouldn't be too late to cripple him then. But he didn't think that Qibing would ask for a meridian opening pill. This pill was precious, but Qibing couldn't use it, could he? This was a medicine that could only be used when a practitioner's meridians were injured, and Qibing wasn't a practitioner, nor did he have any meridians injured. Why would he need it? I know that it's precious. Qibing couldn't help but say in disappointment when he saw Old Zhao's surprise. You want it? Old Master Zhao's expression was a little strange. The meridian unblocking pill is expensive, but compared to the Qi gathering pill it's a world of difference. It's just that I'm a little curious. What do you want the meridian unblocking pill for? It's like this, Uncle Zhu is my underling and he risked his life to protect me. That Lin Yi injured his meridians and now he's fallen from mystic to golden class. I don't want him to be crippled just like that, so I'm asking for a meridian opening pill for him so that he can practice again. Qibing said. Is that so? Old Zhao was shocked by Qibing's words. He didn't think that Qibing would ask for the meridian opening pill for Uncle Zhu. It was such a good opportunity. Zhao Qibing could have asked for something he wanted, but he gave it to someone else. Elder Zhao couldn't help but re-evaluate Zhao Qibing. It seemed that he had misjudged this kid before. This kid was a loyal and righteous person. From helping him find the pills to asking for Uncle Zhu's medicine, all of these proved this point, causing old man Zhao to be filled with emotions. This grandson who grew up among the commoners was really not an ordinary person. Yes. I hope that you can fulfill my wish, Grandpa. Qibing nodded solemnly. All right. I'll agree to this request of yours. But this request is something that House Zhao should do. Little Zhu is your underling and my underling as well. Giving him the meridian opening pill is also House Zhao's responsibility. Elder Zhao nodded. That doesn't count. What else do you want? Tell me. This time, Elder Zhao really hoped that Qibing would ask for something. After all, Qibing was a great hero, and if he didn't ask for something, Elder Zhao would feel bad. But, Grandpa, I really don't have anything else to ask for. Qibing thought about it and shook his head. Qibing, do you want to become a practitioner? Elder Bai suddenly asked. That. Of course, but I'm past the best age for practicing, so I can't practice anymore. Qibing smiled bitterly. That's fine. Since you've heard of the meridian opening pill and the qi gathering pill, then you should have heard of a pill called the foundation pill. It can change your meridians and bones, allowing you to step onto the path of practice. With that, Elder Bai turned to Elder Zhao. Head Xiaobai has a request. I want to take Qibing as my disciple. I hope that you can grant my request. Oh? Xiaobai, you want to take a disciple? Isn't that rare? There are so many disciples in the house who want to be your disciple, and you've never agreed to any of them. Now you're bringing it up yourself? Elder Zhao looked at Elder Bai surprised. Zhao Qibing's character is commendable and he's done a lot for House Zhao. He meets my requirements for a disciple. Elder Bai said. If that's the case, then Qibing can't ask for more. I'll make the decision on my own and let Qibing be your disciple. Elder Zhao nodded. He was shocked. Elder Zhao didn't say who would be the heir in the third generation, but Elder Bai's attitude was very important. He wanted to ascend to sky class and then pursue the path of the heavens. So other than Zhao Guangyin's responsibility, Elder Bai was also in charge of the family. If Elder Bai had his eyes on a young disciple, then that young disciple would very likely become the next heir. It seemed like Qibing had a lot of hope. But Elder Zhao didn't purposely stop him. Since Qibing was part of House Zhao's bloodline and had done a lot for House Zhao, and it seemed like he had a good character, then there was no problem for him to be the heir for now. Qibing, hurry up and greet your master. Zhao Guangyin's emotions were very complicated, but he was also very happy. Qibing was his son after all. Now that he was taken in as Elder Bai's disciple, his status would definitely skyrocket in the future. He might even become the new head of the house. Qibing greets master. Zhao Qibing was so happy that he wanted to kneel down and kowtow, but there was something wrong with his legs. The moment he kneeled, he fell off the wheelchair and fell flat on his back, almost breaking his head. Don't kneel, it's not too late to kneel when your legs are healed. Elder Bai was very happy to see Qibing's respect for his master. He smiled as he helped him up and put him back on the wheelchair. Alright Qibing, you might not understand why Lilk Bai took you in as a disciple, but I'll let Guangyin explain it to you later. I'm going into isolation, you have to work hard. Elder Zhao nodded to Qibing. He couldn't wait to go into isolation. Chapter 1435. Ah, good. Very good. Old Zhao was very happy. He turned to Elder Bai and Guangyin. Guangyin, Lil Bai, I'll leave the house to you for a while. I'm going into isolation and it might take a long time. Be careful during this time and don't cause any trouble. If anything happens, just hold it in. Once I become a sky class, House Zhao won't be afraid of anyone. I understand, Father. I told Sihua to keep a low profile already. Zhao Guangyin nodded as he said this. Let's search for it. With old Zhao's approval, Qibing naturally moved into House Zhao officially. There was a lot of questioning in the house, but old Zhao was already in isolation, and even if they were dissatisfied they couldn't do anything about it. Plus, old Zhao wouldn't allow anyone to question his decision. Of course that wasn't all. The news of Elder Bai taking Qibing as a disciple exploded in everyone's ears. This was what made Xiao Jin feel threatened. Qibing returning to House Zhao wasn't a big deal, and Xiao Jin would at most feel uncomfortable, but it wouldn't affect anything. But Elder Bai taking Qibing as a disciple was something thought-provoking. Could it be that old Zhao was planning on making Qibing the heir of House Zhao? Xiao Jin exploded the moment Guanyin returned to his room that night. She had to get to the bottom of this. What was this Zhao Qibing doing here? Zhao Guanyin, tell me, what are you planning by bringing this bastard back? Xiao Jin was someone with a strong back. She didn't need to be humble in House Zhao. Elder Bai taking him in as a disciple, is he planning on making him the next head of the house? I'm telling you that's impossible. The head of the house has to be our child. Xiao Jin wasn't a shrew before, but this was out of her expectations. She had to get to the bottom of this. Xiao Jin father was the one who brought Lil Bing back, and Elder Bai was the one who suggested taking him in as a disciple. Guanyin said, don't yell at me, even I don't know the inside story. It's not a secret, you can ask Elder Bai if you don't believe me. Okay, I'm tired, I'm going to rest. It was the first time Guanyin had treated Xiao Jin so coldly. He and Xiao Jin didn't have much of a relationship after all. Guanyin had played with countless women in his life and Xiao Jin was just a union of benefits. He'd let her have her way before because House Zhao needed to borrow House Yu's power, but now that his father was a sky class, he'd be on the same level as House Yu. He didn't have to care about Xiao Jin's feelings anymore. Plus, Guanyin really couldn't explain anything to Xiao Jin about Qibing. The elixir was stolen from House Yu's hands in the first place, and he'd definitely slip up if he said too much. So, Guanyin decided to just keep quiet. Xiao Jin was visibly taken aback by Guanyin's attitude, but she was someone from a big house after all. She felt that there was something fishy about this whole thing. It didn't make sense. If Xiao Guanyin ignored her, then Xiao Jin wouldn't keep causing trouble. That would only make their relationship even more awkward. Xiao Jin decided to give her brother a call. Her father was in isolation all year round, becoming the guardian of House Yu. He wouldn't come out easily, and Xiao Jin's brother Yu Xiaochen was the one in charge of everything. Hello. The phone was picked up, but it was a girl's voice. Is this Xiaoning? I'm your aunt. Xiao Jin could tell that it was Yu Ning's voice and smiled. Is your dad here? I need to talk to him about something. Auntie, wait for a second. Dad is talking to his underlings. Can I ask him to call you back when he comes back? Yu Ning asked. That's fine, then let him call me when he comes back. Make sure to call my phone, don't call our house. Xiao Jin said. All right. Yu Ning was a little doubtful. Did something happen to her aunt in House Zhao? But Yu Ning didn't ask. She really didn't want to get involved in family matters, and she didn't want to carry the burden of House Yu's mission. She just wanted to be a normal girl. Ning, who's calling? A boy around the same age as Yu Ning walked over. Brother, it's Auntie, she's looking for father. Yu Ning said. Since you're here, I'll go back to my room. Tell Dad later. Okay, Yu Ning's brother smiled bitterly. Going back to paint? No, Yu Ning shook her head. Is there still no news of him? But there are some things that are hard to say. Yu Ning didn't say who it was, but her brother knew that it was Lin Yi. Before there was no news of Lin Yi, but now there was news of Lin Yi. There was a lot of it, but he didn't know how to tell Yu Ning. Lin Yi was actually mortal enemies with the Common World's House Yu. Naturally, House Yu would stand behind the Common World's House Yu, and Yu Ning couldn't do anything about it. As a result, he was afraid that his sister would do something irrational, so he didn't know if he should tell her the truth or not. As the heir of House Yu, Yu Bing naturally had access to the information channels of House Yu. Recently there was more and more news about Lin Yi. It made Yu Bing happy, but at the same time he was in a dilemma. He didn't want House Yu to have conflict with Lin Yi. Whether it was from his or his sister's point of view, he didn't want House Yu to become Lin Yi's enemy. However, House Yu wasn't under his control. The current head of House Yu was their father, Yu Xiaochen, and the Common World's House Yu had earned a lot of money for House Yu. Although the Hidden House Yu had never put the Common World's House Yu in their eyes, the Hidden House Yu couldn't just sit back and do nothing if something happened to the Common World's House Yu. So Yu Bing had been trying his best to play down the negative news about Lin Yi and let his father focus on the Qi-gathering pill. His father was now an Earth-class late phase peak, one step away from Sky class. If he had the chi gathering pill, then reaching sky class wouldn't be a dream anymore. Brother, there's really news about him? Why didn't you tell me? Yuning grabbed her brother's arm in surprise and shook it. Tell me. Chapter 1436. Yuning was shocked. Then what do we do? Can't you go and mediate in private? Yuning was a little anxious and angry. This Lin Yi, of all people, he had to make enemies with House Yu. By doing this, wasn't it making things more and more difficult for her and Lin Yi to be enemies? Yuning had been fighting all these years, and although there was no result, she still had hope in her heart. But if Lin Yi and House Yu became enemies, then all hope would be gone. There's no way to mediate. Yu Bing smiled bitterly. The common House Yu, one dead and one injured, it's a life and death grudge. Even if we are the hidden House Yu, we can't just suppress this grudge. It's fine if we don't do anything, but asking them to let go of this grudge is too much. One dead and one injured. Yuning didn't think that Lin Yi would be this ruthless, killing one and injuring one from the common House Yu. That was an irreconcilable grudge. Even the hidden House Yu couldn't do that. Yuning understood that the hidden houses always prioritized benefits. As for personal feelings, that was only a consideration when the benefits were balanced. So this time her house definitely wouldn't stand on Lin Yi's side, and Yuning couldn't do anything about it. Sister, don't worry. I'll try my best to convince father to let the hidden House Yu not do anything. The only ones who will be looking for Lin Yi is the common House Yu. Lin Yi should be able to handle it. He's not stupid. Is there something wrong with offending the common House Yu when he knows he can't win? Yu Bing said, it's been so long and the common House Yu still hasn't done anything to Lin Yi. This proves this point. That's the only way. Big brother, I'll leave this to you. Yuning nodded, relaxing a little. As long as the hidden House Yu didn't do anything, then Lin Yi shouldn't be in much danger. We're siblings, there's no need for pleasantries. I'll just do my best, Yu Bing nodded. In the meeting room of House Yu, Yu Shaochen met with Elder Yu Huixing. So you didn't find the chi gathering pill and you didn't find the refinement method? Not only did you come here for nothing, you even got hurt? Shaochen asked in a low voice. Yes, massive. That tomb was too dangerous and the tomb robbers even started fighting amongst themselves. Quite a few of them died and in the end no one entered the underground palace. Elder Yu said carefully. In front of the head of the house, Yu Shaochen, Elder Yu didn't dare act rashly. Yu Shaochen was an Earth-class late-phase peak, much stronger than Elder Yu. Plus, Elder Yu had a guilty conscience, so he didn't even dare to breathe. Trash. Yu Shaochen was a little disappointed. It was just a simple mission and you ended up like this. What a piece of trash. Yu Huixing was grumbling in his heart. If it wasn't for the fact that you guys didn't want to treat my poison, why would I have handed over the pills? If I had handed over the pills earlier, would you have given me 1 billion to treat my injuries? I'm afraid I would have been left to fend for myself. Yu Huixing understood House Yu's way of doing things. The head of the house, Yu Shaochen, was a snobbish person, and it wouldn't be a problem for him to spend 1 billion on the chi gathering pill, but it was impossible for him to spend 1 billion to treat his injuries. As a result, Yu Huixing decided to hide the truth. House Yu couldn't possibly have any connection with the tomb robbers, and if he didn't say anything, how would House Yu know? House Zhao wouldn't say anything even if they got the benefits, and Yu Huixing wasn't worried about that. I'm sorry. Master, please punish me. Yu Huixing knew that although he didn't complete the mission, he didn't do anything wrong and Shaochen wouldn't do anything to him. At most, his position in House Yu would still be that lowly, and he wouldn't be given much training resources every month. Forget it, you can leave. I'll think of something about the tomb robbers. Shaochen waved his hand impatiently. It was as Yu Huixing had thought. He wouldn't punish Yu Huixing, but he was a little annoyed. He'd been waiting for the chi gathering pill for a long time, and now he couldn't get it. It was like a horse with a bunch of fresh grass tied to its head. It could see it, but it couldn't eat it. Yes. Yu Huixing's heart sank. Shaochen wouldn't send someone else to rob the tomb, would he? But then he thought of the dangers in the tomb and the powerful guardian beast and he relaxed. If there weren't any tomb robbers following them, even a sky class wouldn't be able to return. Shaochen looked at Elder Yu's back and waved his hand, his face dark. One of his men quickly came over and whispered, Master, what are your orders? Yulu, keep an eye on Yu Huixing. Shaochen said, Yes, master. You're suspecting him. Yulu asked carefully. That's right, this old thing is from the common world house you and he's not on our side. I'm afraid that he'll keep the things for himself after he gets them. Shaochen said, don't alert him, just search in the dark. Yes, master. Yulu replied. He was a servant, but he was an earth-class mid-phase peak much stronger than Yu Huixing. There was no way he'd be discovered if he kept an eye on Yu Huixing. Yuanyuan didn't hesitate after receiving Gooden's call, and decided to go home with him. Yu Ren and Yuanyuan's mother didn't want her daughter to leave, but Yuanyuan had made up her mind. Yu Ren could only tell her to be careful and take care of Zhou Jiaming, and to call home when they arrived. A grown girl can't be kept at home. Yu Ren sighed. Dad, why don't you and Mom go there as well? I heard from Zhou Jiaming that it's in the mountains, the air is good. Yuanyuan said. Haha, that's alright, after a few years we can go there too. Yu Ren nodded. His daughter was going and there was no point for him and his wife to stay here. Mrs. Yu, on the other hand, had tears in her eyes, unwilling to leave. Lin Yi, Mengyao, Yushu, and Tang Yun all came to send them off as well. Gooden's dedication in this period of time really touched the girls. He was Lin Yi's follower, but they had built up some friendships over this period of time. If there's anything here, just come to me. Lin Yi smiled to Yu Ren. Uncle Yu, Gooden and I are brothers. If there's anything, just come to me, just like how you look for him. Chapter 1437. Boss, you have to take care of yourself. Lin Yi and I will come visit you, Chintian said to Gooden as he laid on the wheelchair. Haha, it's fine, don't worry about me. I'll be fine when I get back. Gooden forced a smile as he was supported by Yuanyuan. Lin Yi nodded. Gooden was telling the truth, he'd recover after drinking some spring water. The train's whistle sounded and Gooden and Yuanyuan entered the ticket checkpoint. After seeing them off, everyone left the train station. After sending Tang Yun home, Lin Yi went back to the villa with Mengyao, Yushu and Chintian. Shield bro, did you find the fire spirit's fruit? Can Xiaoxiao be saved? I haven't seen her in so long, I miss her quite a bit. I don't have anyone to play with anymore. Yushu said with nostalgia. No, but I found some news about the fruit. I'm planning to go look for it after settling things at home, Lin Yi said. The process might be long, so you guys stay at home and take care of yourself, don't worry about the bodyguards. Chintian should be fine. But I don't like him. He's so stupid. Yushu didn't like Chintian at all, she felt that this guy was a bit stupid. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Mengyao kicked Yushu and turned to Chintian. I'm sorry, Shu's just like that. It's fine as long as you don't like me. If you did, I wouldn't dare be liked. Chintian said as if it was natural. Mengyao didn't know what to say. She was right, this guy was really stupid, not knowing that she was speaking up for him. The little pig at home is called Skybolt Pig. With its help, I'll be able to find the fruit. Lin Yi said, don't worry, there won't be any danger along the way. Good. Mengyao nodded. She didn't want him to leave, but because of her personality she wouldn't say anything to make him stay. On the other hand, Lin Yi had no choice but to go. If he wanted to cure Xiaoxiao, Lin Yi had to go. I'm going to help Chintian heal and increase his strength. Call me if you need anything, Lin Yi said before entering the bedroom with Chintian. Yao Yao, Shield bro is leaving, but I want to go with him. Yushu hesitated. No, you have to stay and take the college entrance exam. College entrance exams are coming up, Mengyao said. Besides, you won't be able to help even if you go, he still has to take care of you. Oh. Yushu was a little disappointed, but Mengyao was right, she really couldn't help much. Lin Yi went back to the room and said to Chintian, I'm going to heal you now and after that I'll help you increase your strength. But you're a physical practitioner and I'm not very good with that, so I can only make some medicine for you. But I can turn you into a spiritual practitioner and you'll focus on physical and support internal. With both, you'll be stronger than people of the same level and you'll be able to fight people of a higher level. Oh. Chintian froze. He couldn't believe his ears. Lin Yi, boss, what did you say? I think I was hearing things, I didn't hear you clearly. After all, the dream of every physical practitioner was to do both. That way, not only would they be able to bridge the gap between spiritual and physical practitioners, but they'd also be able to surpass spiritual practitioners of the same level. Plus, the two complemented each other, and it didn't matter if you leveled up your physical or spiritual practitioner first, You'd be able to bring the one that hadn't leveled up first to level up. This was the so-called the east side is not bright, the west side is bright. For example, if an external master reached the mystic rank first, then when he broke through to the mystic rank he would no longer feel the bottleneck. Similarly, if the internal master reached the mystic rank first, then it would be a lot easier to break through to the external master. A physical practitioner at the early phase of mystic wouldn't have much of a problem fighting a spiritual practitioner at the mid-phase of mystic. Both of them would be on par, and this was similar to Lin Yi's unique practitioner's arts, but Lin Yi's was a little more mysterious. The meridians in your ears are fine. Lin Yi checked Qintian's ears and said, "So you didn't hear things wrongly. I don't want to repeat myself. House, we should have a spiritual practitioner's arts too, right?" "Spiritual? Yes." Qintian heard Lin Yi mention the spiritual practitioner's arts again, and he finally confirmed that Lin Yi wasn't joking with him. He was being serious. This meant that Lin Yi really wanted to turn him into a spiritual practitioner. Every external sect or noble house had their own spiritual practitioner's arts. This spiritual practitioner's arts weren't particularly high class, but it was the most compatible with the external practitioner's arts they practiced. The two could complement each other. This kind of inferior spiritual practitioner's arts wasn't a secret, and many noble houses had them. House Wu was no exception. However, the people of the Wu clan weren't suited to cultivate internal mental techniques. Moreover, the people of the Wu clan couldn't even spend all their time cultivating external mental techniques, so where would they find the time to study internal mental techniques? Although everyone knew that cultivating internal qi would allow one to gain greater strength, the key issue was that one had to be able to cultivate it. In the Wu family, only old master Wu Gonggao had studied internal qi for a while, but he didn't have much success, so he gave up. So even the strongest person in House Wu Gonggao didn't make much progress, let alone the others. Qintian, on the other hand, had followed them for a few days, but he didn't make much progress. "Do you know the chant? So you've practiced it before?" Lin Yi asked. "I did, and I still remember the chant, but it's just a little bit of pure qi. The qi in my house is too thin and I don't have spiritual herbs, so I gave up," Qintian said honestly. "That's right, Lin Yi. Alright, I'll heal you first and you'll be fine when you start the chant. It might be painful during the breakthrough, can you take it?" Lin Yi asked. Chapter 1438. Qintian was overjoyed. Didn't that mean he was going to be awesome? The more he thought about it, the more excited he got. "I'm not afraid of hardships. When I was training my iron fist, I put my hand in hot charcoal. It's fine, Lin Yi boss, don't worry, I can take it. As long as I can level up, I'll be fine even if you beat me to death." "Beat you to death and you'll still level up?" Lin Yi was speechless. This guy's thinking was a little off. But Lin Yi didn't say much. He only nodded and put his hand on Qintian's meridians. Qintian thought that Lin Yi was checking his meridians, but the next moment he felt that the injured parts of his body were being healed by a strong energy. In an instant his injuries were healed a little. This was something Qintian couldn't imagine. Ah! Qintian's eyes widened. He was from a noble house and he had gotten injured many times when he practiced martial arts. After he got injured, there were also private doctors in the family who would heal him. Although these doctors were better than normal clinics, Qintian had never seen Lin Yi's healing method before. What was this called? Checking the meridians? Qintian had never seen this before. But after Qintian screamed, he quickly shut his mouth. He saw that Lin Yi had his eyes closed, clearly focused on healing him. Qintian didn't want to disturb him. Time passed and Qintian was getting more and more shocked. He couldn't believe that his injuries could be healed so quickly. It had only been a short while, but the internal injuries in his body were already almost healed. Suddenly he thought of a shocking possibility. Wasn't House Sun a healing house? He wanted to marry Sun Jingyi because he wanted her to heal him when he was injured, right? But how could Lin Yi know House Sun's arts? But that didn't make sense. It seemed that the Sun family's mental cultivation method could only heal one person, but Lin Yi seemed to be able to heal many people? Qintian had heard of Lin Yi's amazing medical skills. He'd even thought that Lin Yi was a liar who wanted to treat his aunt's father-in-law. But now it seemed that Lin Yi wasn't a liar at all. It was his own ignorance. Just thinking about it made Qintian blush. Fortunately, Lin Yi was a magnanimous person and didn't bring it up again. In fact, it was because of Qintian's dedication that made Lin Yi accept him. If it weren't for Tang Yun, Lin Yi wouldn't have accepted him so easily. What Qintian didn't expect was that almost all of his damaged meridians were healed, and even some of the internal injuries from his training were healed by Lin Yi. Qintian couldn't help but want to cheer. His two bosses were one stronger than the other. No wonder Gooden had to call Lin Yi boss even though he was so strong. He couldn't help but be impressed. Start channeling your practitioner's arts, Lin Yi suddenly said to Qintian. Oh okay. Qintian paused and quickly replied. He didn't dare to delay and started channeling his practitioner's arts. Qintian felt a sudden surge of pure qi coming from Lin Yi and entering his body. Qintian's practitioner's arts, which were extremely awkward at first, became smooth all of a sudden. The reason why it wasn't smooth before was because there wasn't any spiritual qi in the world, and there wasn't any spiritual medicine for training. But now with Lin Yi's pure qi flowing in, Qintian didn't have any bottlenecks like before, and his spiritual strength increased rapidly. Qintian was surprised and happy, but he didn't dare to delay or rest, afraid that he'd waste a bit of pure qi. He was shocked that Lin Yi was giving him the pure qi, but since Lin Yi had already done it, if he didn't accept it he'd be letting down Lin Yi's good intentions. He had to train even harder. But Qintian felt that Lin Yi was becoming more and more like House Sun's practitioner's arts. Could it be that Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi really had some sort of relationship? But no matter what, he had already given up on Sun Jingyi, so he shouldn't think about Sun Jingyi anymore. Plus he had a boss like Lin Yi, why would he need Sun Jingyi? Qintian felt relieved. He'd gotten stronger, so why would he be afraid of not finding a wife? With that thought, Qintian worked even harder. Golden class. Qintian didn't think that he'd broken through just like that. How long had it been? Just like that. He'd been training his physical style since he was young, and he'd only broken through to golden class. But this spiritual style broke through in just a few hours. Wasn't this a little too fast? Qintian couldn't believe it. Was he the fastest golden class master in history? But just when he was thinking about how he'd broken through so quickly, he realized that he was about to break through to golden class early phase peak. Golden class early phase peak. Qintian broke through again. He was a little prepared this time, but he was still shocked. No way, he'd surpassed his original physical strength in the blink of an eye? Was this real? I'm not dreaming, right? Golden class mid-phase. Qintian finally confirmed that he wasn't dreaming, but he'd broken through to golden class mid-phase, golden class mid-phase peak. Qintian was a little numb. This was too fast and he couldn't accept it. He hadn't even experienced the joy of breaking through to golden class mid-phase, and now he was golden class mid-phase peak. Golden class late phase. Qintian felt like his heart was going to explode. He'd never heard of a way to break through like this. Golden class late phase peak. Qintian felt like he was sitting in a helicopter, but he didn't think about whether it was real or not. He wouldn't dream like this. Every time he broke through the bottleneck, the pressure was real. It was painful, but as Qintian said, it was nothing compared to the hard work he'd put in. It could be seen that Qintian was a little arrogant, but he was someone who could take hardships. His strength was also obtained through hard work. Next, I'm going to turn you into Mystic Class Early Phase. You might suffer a lot, but just bear with it. Lin Yi suddenly said to Qintian, "You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."